tonight, the Georgia Southern Eagles return home to host rivals Central Florida. Welcome to the site of the National 1AA Championship game, Statesboro, Georgia. The title game is less than 2 months away, and these two teams hope to get there, but a 4-3 record for both. They must win today. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Tilley. Georgia Southern enters this game off its second greatest comeback ever, beating James Madison 24-21 in Harrisonburg last week, while Central Florida has had 2 weeks to get ready for this one. And Sam Smith has joined me for the game this afternoon. And Sam, it's really an early playoff type game.
It certainly is. That's what I like most about this. A great atmosphere for college football here in Statesboro. These two football teams well know at 4-3. Another loss, and they will not have an opportunity in the Division I AA championship. And certainly with Georgia Southern, the champions, they want to get back. Both coaches are trying to de-emphasize and putting all of their eggs in one basket for this one game, but if they lose, they're out of the playoffs by all stretch of the imagination.
Well, as we turn to our keys to the game, we can tell you that Central is certainly concerned about the Eagles quarterback.
Well, it's kind of a question mark so far for Central Florida because a new quarterback in Derek McGrady, who came off the bench for the big comeback last week, is a question mark on how they'll defend him. On the offensive side for Central Florida, establish the running game. The great Willie English will have to do that to set up some short passes, and they must avoid turnovers because the Knights had 5 turnovers against Samford and 8 in one game against East Carolina. Other side of the coin for Georgia Southern, they know they cannot stop English, but they must contain him. Can't give him a 150-yard game or they could be in deep trouble. The defensive special teams must be ready. One punt run back for a touchdown last week, and Mike Dickerson of Central Florida has already run back 3 this year, so they've got to be ready there. And Tim Stowers says mental toughness in this type football game, and you know that'll be felt on both sides of the football field today.
Well, you know, you mentioned Willie English, and he's one of the top rushers in the country right now.
He is a premium player, and when you see him play today, you'll know why, because he's a bruising fullback. He's only 90 yards away from reaching 1,000 and less than 400 from becoming the all-time rusher in the history of Central Florida. Defensively, Bob Spatowski, a fine linebacker, likes to hit, and he'll be one of those guys leading the defense against Georgia Southern. For Georgia Southern, how about this Hollywood script? Derek McGrady off the bench to rally his club to a 24-21 win on the road. He's from Statesboro, and he makes his first start before the hometown crowd. It could be quite a story. Other side defensively, probably their brightest player and maybe one of their most talented, Steve Busaletti's a linebacker. He's a guy that seems to bring everybody up to his style of intensity, and that'll be a key in today's game.
We're counting down to kickoff. Georgia Southern and Central Florida in Statesboro, Georgia. And we'll have more as our pregame coverage continues in just a moment. Central Florida has never beaten the Eagles here before. Of the contest today between Georgia Southern and Central Florida, Glenn Deemer is covering the sideline for us this afternoon. Let's check in. Glenn?
Okay, Mike, absolutely perfect day, a perfect field here at Paulson Stadium. This is Roger Inman's baby. As you can see, it's been had a little ryegrass overseeded. It's absolutely perfect. Heck, Sam Smith could even putt off this. That's how good it is. Okay, the temperature is 85 degrees. The wind is out of the northeast at 10 to 20 miles an hour, a little unusual. And a 10% chance of rain. We had a little sprinkle already before game time, so hopefully we have had our 10%. Are you ready for kickoff? We are, and we'll see it in about 2 minutes.
Kickoff right now. Chris Wright returns it about 15 yards to the 25-yard line, and we are just underway. Georgia Southern will get a shot at the ball, winning the coin toss and electing to receive here on the opening possession of the game. Mike Tilley along with Sam Smith, and it will be an important game for both teams, as we've told you, as you'll check out number 9, Derek McGrady, the Statesboro High School graduate, and of course from Statesboro his junior season, and it's important that he have a good game here after leading his team from a 21-0 deficit against James Madison to a 24-21 win in Harrisonburg last Saturday. And looks like some movement across the offensive front early. We'll wait to see who it's on, and some roughness as well.
This is a very interesting situation for McGrady, coming with a 24-21 win, coming in the first quarter, replacing Bostic last week. James Madison, and a great opportunity for him to show before the home folks as a flag will go against Georgia Southern. Interesting enough, Central Florida,
still first down.
False start against Georgia Southern. Central actually won. Central Florida won the toss of the coin, and they elected to put their defense on the field early. A rather interesting strategy here for Gene McDowell, and they also will have the win at their back here in the first quarter if and when they get their hands on the football, Mike.
There's a look at the offensive lineup for Georgia Southern. First down 15 following the 5-yard penalty. McGrady looking to throw. Pressure. He goes down at the 14-yard line. Greg Jefferson was there to make the tackle. McGrady loses 5 on the play.
Central Florida runs a lot of what they call their multiple defense with 3 down linemen. This play was just strung out. Good coverage in the secondary forced McGrady to come to the corner, and then he was anybody's free bait there. And good size, good speed by Greg Jefferson, number 95, to chase him down from behind. You can see the pursuit down the line of scrimmage. Central Florida will have excellent support from their linebackers. This time a down lineman comes in and makes the stop.
Second down 20. McGrady is going to go down again. Throws it. And it'll be ruled an incomplete pass.
There, Mike, was a perfect example. That was Spitulski, one of the linebackers. He'll actually come up on the line of scrimmage and be one of the down linemen. He came from an up position there. Their preseason All-American, and you saw the quickness and his intensity to try to get to the football.
It'll make it third down now at the 5-yard line. Third down and 30 as you look at the Central Florida defensive front. The linebackers who were involved early and doing an excellent job against the Eagles. The Eagles have lost 20 yards on the first series. Right up the middle, Eford gets to the outside, 20, and he's knocked out of bounds right there. And the Eagles are going to have to punt.
Interesting out of bounds over there. You saw a little confrontation. This is a no love lost series, even though it has been all Georgia Southern. Central Florida wants more than anything to come in and win this one. Eford with that little hole in the center of the line. Had he not got tangled up with his own blocker right in front of him, he could have sprinted to the outside maybe a little quicker. I don't think he'd had enough for the first down, though.
Norton punting. Mike Dickinson, who has returned 3 for touchdowns this year, is at the 45, and he'll go down right at the 42-yard line. So the Knights are in excellent field position for their first series of the game. There is a timeout on the field, and as the Knights offense comes on, we'll take a break. 13:07 to play in the first quarter. No score. We'll be back in just a moment. Back in Statesboro, third down and 2. The officials failed to hold up the play. And so it's third down and 2 now for Central Florida at the 33-yard line. The give to English off the left side, and he has the first down. And so early on the first play of the game, the handoff was to English. Then on the second play, Darren Henshaw, the starting quarterback, number 12, threw a little pass out to English, and now English carries for what will be the first down.
Mike, it won't be any secret that Willie English will be the star of this game for Central Florida if they lose or if they win. He is a workhorse. I mentioned a fullback type player coming out of the tailback spot.
There's Henshaw starting the contest at quarterback. He will throw on first down and 10. Incomplete. May have been intended that time for Robert Alexander, number 5, but it was well overthrown. No one in the territory.
I think what happened over there, Shane Maxwell, one of the linebackers, number 44, had dropped well, and he had the runner in front of him and continued to bump all the way up the floor. And at that particular time, they were unable to get the pattern where they wanted, and thus the overthrown pass.
There's a look at the Central Florida offensive front on second down and 10. English again cutting 20-yard line, 15. To the 10, dragging tacklers. He's inside the 10 at the 9-yard line. Finally, Shane Maxwell had the strength to bring him down, but there were 3 or 4 dark jerseys there pulling at Willie English, who has 130 yards rushing a game this season.
Well, he's only 90 away from 1,000, and they may get a big chunk of that right here in this first drive. Look how tough he is to bring down once he gets in the open field. Good quickness, good feet, good moves, and he takes it all the way down with that first and goal for Central Florida.
21-yard gain. English again, 5-yard line now, pounding. He'll get inside the 5 to the 4. Michael Morris, the starting in his freshman season, playing for little banged-up Michael Berry, made the tackle.
Mike, what English is looking for is Derek Connor, one of the tackles on one side, number 74, and Alex Goforth, number 76, on the other. It is an influence block up the middle. You see he slants to the left and cuts back to the right. He's looking to see what Connor's doing. He's looking to see what Goforth is doing and just allowing him to run to the open spot.
Second down 4, second down goal. English up the middle. He'll pick up a couple. It'll be third down and goal at the 1. And UCF, remember, has had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, so you can imagine they have come out with a quality game plan, and they're showing it here on the first series.
Well, offensively, the 2 weeks were nice because you had plenty of time. Defensively, they had to look at a brand new quarterback this week in McGrady. That will create some problems more so on defense than offense.
Do have an official timeout as one of the players seems to be shaking up just a bit. Maybe a problem with Kevin Bennett as he goes to the sideline. We'll take a timeout as well. 10 minutes and 15 seconds to play in the first quarter. No score yet. Shot of English, who has 5 carries for 38 yards here on the opening series of the game, and Central Florida is inside the 2-yard line. 3rd down and goal. David Rhodes, number 18, is in for Kevin Bennett, who went out with the injury for that timeout. The give to English. He does not get in. Michael Morris hit him squarely along with Mark Giles, and so it's going to be 4th and goal at the 1, and the field goal unit comes in.
Well, they say you win football games with goal line offense, and you win them also with goal line defense, and that's exactly what Georgia Southern does. Look at the support, the linebackers, the safeties, everybody coming up to help. And in that particular case, Mark Giles from the top, as you mentioned, Morris from the bottom, make the stop, and now the kick for the field goal. Both these ball clubs have excellent field goal kickers. I would think Georgia Southern maybe a little bit of favor with David Kuhl, and now a full timeout credited to Florida Central.
Central Florida taking the timeout. Franco Grilla in for the field goal, and as they break, we'll take a timeout as well. 9 minutes and 38 seconds left in the first quarter. We'll be back with more action with Central Florida electing to go for the field goal on 4th down and goal at the 1-yard line. Franco Grilla is in for what will be an 18-yard attempt. He is 8 of 14 in field goals this year. The spot and the kick is perfect. So Franco Grilla nails the 18-yard field goal to put Central Florida on top first here in Statesboro. There's timeout on the field. 9 minutes, 33 seconds to play in the first quarter. And Central Florida, who has never won here, strikes first. Beaten Georgia Southern here, and I'm referring to the Paulson Stadium, which was built back in 1984. And there's a look at number 21, Chris Wright, who will be back to receive for Georgia Southern. But you'll remember that before Paulson Stadium was built, Womack Field was here in Statesboro, and at Womack Field, UCF won 33-29. That was back in 1983. So UCF leading now 3-0, kicking off. And it'll be taken for the touchback, and so Georgia Southern will have it at the 20-yard line. 1st down, 10. You look at that scoring drive, 9 plays, 41 yards, consuming just under 4 minutes, and Grilla nailing that 18-yard field goal. Let's head to the sideline. Glenn has an update for us. Glenn?
Okay, UCF tight end Kevin Bennett was the one hurt on the play. Looks like cartilage damage in the right knee from the doctors at UCF. It doesn't look like he will be back today. It's bad news because they're a little thin at tight end.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. And David Rhodes, number 18, saw some playing time on that last series with Bennett going to the sideline. 1st down, 10. McGrady hands off. Lester Eford across the 30-yard line picks up 12 for the 1st down.
Mike, that time Central Florida gambled. They brought up 6 men on the line of scrimmage, and quickly it was Georgia Southern smelling it out, and they hit for the quick opener. You see, once he crosses the line of scrimmage, he's got to get tackled from behind. There's nothing in front of him, and that will be, if they continue to crowd that line of scrimmage, they'll have to make some changes in that set defensively for Central Florida.
1st down, 10, 31-yard line. McGrady running the option. Pitching, Eford can't hold it. Goes out of bounds, and so Georgia Southern will maintain possession at about the 30-yard line. So some pressure up front from that defensive front of Central Florida.
You see now, when you get the 4 and 5, 6 men on the line of scrimmage, you can string it out down the line of scrimmage well. And look at the Central Florida players there. This is one area that McGrady is going to have to really kind of get himself mentally in the game. That pitch under pressure is one of the toughest things in college football, as you see him working defensively here on the near sideline.
You got to make that to the linebacker. Now, we will be fine.
It's going to be 2nd down and 11, and Georgia Southern is going to take a timeout. Both teams have used a timeout here in the first quarter, and we'll stay with you this time, but there's 9 minutes and 6 seconds left in the first quarter. Central Florida on top 3-0, and there's a look at Tim Stowers in his 2nd year as head coach. with Georgia Southern.
You know, he may be only 33 years of age, but a few of these football games in season, he's going to look a little older than that. This is exactly the same position this ball club was in a year ago. You may recall they got off to a 1-3 start, came back and won the national championship. Other side of the coin, Gene McDowell, what a career he's had. 17 years as an assistant at Florida State and named as the Division I AA Coach of the Year at Central Florida. His ball club, yes, did lose the Georgia Southern, but what a great comeback and what a great year they had last year. And now they're hanging on, as is Georgia Southern, trying to make the playoffs again.
Well, this Central Florida team a lot different from that team a year ago, losing 14 starters from that team, and with just 11 seniors on the roster. The Knights, of course, trying to rebuild this year and stand at 4-3. So second down 11. Daryl Belser to the near side of the field, right up the middle. Couple of yards for the first man through, Lester Eford. And it's going to be third down 6. So Eford keeps pounding up the middle for Georgia Southern. Eagles have 1 first down on this drive. You'll remember the last series, the UCF defense was really aggressive and pushed the Eagles back for what turned out to be a 5-yard loss on the first series. Belser to the near side of the field. Searle is with him. McGrady will throw, incomplete, picked off at the 47-yard line. Penn Hosapple comes up with the interception.
Well, this is just a matter of not being able to hold on to a football that was very well thrown. Belser, who had the great game last week against James Madison, gets it right in the hands. It just skips off. And I'm telling you, Penn Hosapple right there, not flashy, but does his job in the secondary. And a big turnover here for Central Florida.
And Central Florida, plagued by turnovers all season long, comes up with the first one in the game. First down 10, 47-yard line. The handoff to English, and he's hit behind the line this time. Number 56, Michael Berry, who did not start the game, was the first one in there to trip him up. Couple of yard loss on the play, so it's going to be second down and 12. And there's a look at Steve Busaletti, who was in on the final stop.
Boy, you got to love Busaletti. He's a marketing major, a 3.24 average. He kind of brings everybody up to the intensity. And in this case, it's Michael Berry. Didn't get a start today. Kind of a message from the coaches. Hey, you got to play better. Busaletti and his crew doing well.
Second down 12. Henshaw going long over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Brett Cooper and just overthrew him, but that was great defensive coverage as well.
This is one of those situations that if you're on Central Florida's side, you say, hey, it's defensive interference. If you're on the other side, you said, what a great timing. It was just that close. And the officials with Jim Mutamar right on top of the receiver that time, Cooper, and it was just a tad too long. He might have had a shot at it, but again, contact just at the last second.
The Knights are going to face third down and 12. 7 minutes, 40 seconds to play in the first quarter, and UCF with a 3-0 lead. Darren Henshaw may have used too much time. That will back them up 5 yards. It appeared Henshaw was trying to get his backfield set. Our referee for the contest today is Bob McLaughlin. We'll be hearing from him throughout.
Mike, we've got an update on a score. Third-ranked Holy Cross is playing Lehigh, ranked number 19, Division I AA, and Holy Cross trails 7-0 that in the first quarter of the ball game. So that'll be an interesting one to watch today concerning the playoff picture.
Ball moves back to the 46, third down 17. Henshaw, good protection, complete, 35-yard line, first down for Brett Cooper. Henshaw overthrew Cooper a few moments ago, but this time hits him for what will be the first down.
This actually was going to be the same pass pattern. It's just a little bit shorter as Henshaw released it a little quicker. You see the good protection back in the pocket, steps right up, and in Cooper's right between the dropping linebackers and the free safety. And Mutimer finally has to come up and make the stop, but the same play, this time better success for the Knights.
24-yard pass completion. First down 10. English off the right side. Pounding away, gets a couple of yards before number 4, Kevin Whitley, can get to him.
English, the ball carrier, tackled by number 4, Kevin Whitley.
English had over 40 yards rushing on the first series alone.
We were talking to the folks from Central Florida concerning that 242-yard rushing game against Arkansas State. Yes, he had a 58-yarder and a 40-yarder. Obviously, that adds up to right just under 100. The rest of it, they said he got the old-fashioned way. He just earned it against Arkansas State.
Mark Whitmore to the near side of the field. Brian Crutcher also split to the near side. The handoff to English right up the middle. Picks up 2. It's going to be 3rd down and 5. Paul Sixley, number 30, was in on the stop.
Mike, we made mention of Central Florida playing the 3-down linemen and, of course, coming with linebackers to give you a 4, 5, or even a 6-man look. Mostly a 4-3 basic defense for Georgia Southern. They'll stack the 4-down linemen, the 3 linebackers, Sickley, Maxwell, and Davis. Very good one, and do a very good job in backing up that front line.
3rd down 6. Pressure, dumps it out to English. 25 has the first down. 15-10 down at the 8-yard line. So Central Florida inside the 10. It's going to be 1st down and goal.
Mike, college football, high school football, whatever level it happens to be, it's a game of opportunities. Sickley, number 30, the linebacker, crashing from the outside. He'd open up the little dump off, and look at English when he gets the ball in the open field. He is an outstanding tailback. Making a tough catch. And as you see, overruns his blocking, but does a good job there.
Right up the middle, Ron Thau. And he picks up a couple of yards. That was a 17-yard gain on the play. We want to remind you that the announcers for this game have been contracted for and approved by Georgia Southern University. Any use, rebroadcast, or other transmission of this game without the written consent of the Georgia Southern Sports Network and Host Creative Communications is prohibited. Couple of yard gain. It's going to be 2nd down goal at the 8. Darren Henshaw at quarterback. Cooper was in motion. Henshaw will throw, hits Cooper, drops it, incomplete. Rodney Oglesby covering from his corner position. It's going to be 3rd down. Georgia Southern's defense being called on again here to hold. Gave up a field goal on the first series. UCF now on its 2nd series of the game. David Rhodes, number 18, split out to the near side of the field. Ron Thau in the backfield getting set with teammate. Incomplete, out of the end zone. It was intended for David Rhodes, but he was out of the end zone. Mark Giles covering along with Kevin Whitley.
Well, you got to love these kind of plays because it's a set play. Just throw it to the corner of the end zone and hope your man cannot jump the other. This time, Henshaw, that time let it fly a little long, and you can see well out of the side of the end zone there. And Grillo, again, after a field goal, I guess they're going to call on him again here, Mike.
This time he'll be going for a 26-yard attempt. He hit an 18-yarder earlier in the game. This time it's good. So Franco Grillo, the junior from Miami, has scored all the points for UCF, and for both teams, really, it's 6-0 here, just under 5 minutes to go in the first quarter, and you have to be pleased if you're a Central Florida fan with the way that the Knights have moved the ball against the Georgia Southern defense.
Well, I think there's not a lot of panic going on for Georgia Southern right now. This is a ball club that has tendency not to play, I won't say hard or all that well in the early goings, but they just slowly but surely start to get themselves back in the game. The third quarter is when they have won so many football games, not only this year, but certainly the championship years under Irk Russell and now the Tim Stiers. So no real concern as of yet. You know, Grillo is a guy with 211 points now. 273 is the all-time record at Central Florida. Eddie O'Brien during the 84-87 year. And Grillo, of course, just a junior, has a golden opportunity to easily break that record as the all-time scorer for the Knights.
And you'll remember, Sam, as you were mentioning about Georgia Southern certainly not wanting to get down, because last week trailing James Madison 21-0 in the first quarter. And by the second quarter, the Georgia Southern team was starting to respond. Third quarter came back to win it 24-21. So Georgia Southern certainly has proved its ability to come back, and Derek McGrady was a big reason for that last week. 10 plays for the Knights, 37 yards, and Grillo with the 25-yard field goal. It's 6-0 Central Florida over Georgia Southern here in Statesboro. Franco Grillo will kick off. Chris Wright is waiting for it at the goal line, and Grillo really has a strong foot, but a great wind behind him as well. Drives Wright out of the end zone, and we've said it a couple of times, but it'll be important maybe toward the fourth quarter to see who's moving from right to left, because the wind is certainly behind you.
Well, in this particular situation, Grillo has not needed the wind in both opportunities in the first quarter. An interesting strategy put up by Gene McDowell. Yes, let's let Georgia Southern get the football first, call on our defense, and use the wind if and when we get it back. They have done it all the way down inside the 10. But I know if and when they look at the films, they'll say, fellas, we've got to get touchdowns instead of field goals.
First down 10 for the Eagles. McGrady trying to run the option, pitches it out. Hudson, he may have picked up a yard or two. Steve Wright made the stop. Let's go down to the field and check in with Glenn.
It's important for Central Florida to get going early, which it has, because it has been unable to do that in previous games. From Georgia Southern's point of view, they were behind last week, and so there's no need to panic this week. Mike?
Thank you, Glenn. Second down 8 now facing the Eagles offense, and Don Hudson, number 41 there, out of Warner Robins, Georgia. Former high school quarterback, special teams player last year, and getting some playing experience, quite a bit of it for the Eagles right now. Second down 8. McGrady gets outside the pressure. He'll try to run. Hit hard right at the 25-yard line. Solid hit by number 11, Eric Buckley.
Buckley just tattooed that number 11 all over McGrady as he turned the corner. Good run by Derek to get out of a lot of trouble, but watch Buckley as he comes up and supports on the play. Again, nothing there. He was looking for a little dump-in pass inside either one of the A-backs or a tight end. Nothing there. And just off the ball, boom, Buckley, who they say really likes to tattoo you, certainly did there. Right here. That's coming from the outside, and McGrady looking around to see what the number of that truck was.
Belser to the far side of the field. The handoff to Eford up the middle. First down at the 33. Rick Hamilton made the stop. Rick Hamilton, the leading tackler for the Knights this year, but there's a shot of Lester Eford at 111 yards rushing against Eastern Kentucky earlier this year.
Good call by Georgia Southern. That time they had strung out the option a couple of times. They'd look for some dump-in passes, and then on the draw, they have all of the linebackers stunning the outside, and the open middle is there, and Eford took advantage of it.
Belser and Searle in the lineup to the far side of the field for Georgia Southern. McGrady back to pass, having to scramble. 35 up to the 39-yard line, just following Rusty Parrish for a couple of steps. His starting center, Greg Jefferson, finally made the tackle.
Greg Jefferson.
Boy, this Jefferson has been an impressive athlete. That time he catches McGrady from behind, and that was a pretty good play for him to catch McGrady one step away from Jefferson, and he's got a lot of green here at Paulson Stadium to run a long way for Georgia Southern. Good speed there by Greg Jefferson.
Darren Willis in the lineup, number 1. He's to the near side of the field. Up the middle, Eford hit right at the line of scrimmage. It'll be close to the first. He may actually be a yard short, but some good hitting by the Central Florida front.
You know, Mike, we've got word that Central Florida may have lost one of their top players in Mike Dickinson. Number 21 has been taken to the locker room, and we understand that he will be in there to see what the doctors and the trainers have to say about a possible injury. He's a young man with those 3 punt returns for touchdowns already this year, and a real threat for the Knights, but he is in the locker room now with an injury. We'll try to have Glenn or someone check on that for us.
He'll be sorely missed if he's unable to return, because Central Florida, as you know, with that special teams threat, and Georgia Southern's going to have to use a timeout at second of the first half, because apparently there was some confusion, and Coach Tim Stowers was signaling to Derek McGrady, and whatever the confusion, the Eagles have to use a timeout, and I'm certain they'd rather not do that.
Mike, you know, we made a point at the top of the show how important this game is for both these clubs at 4-3. Now, keep in mind that only 16 teams are named Division I AA playoff teams. Both these teams in the playoffs. Georgia Southern going on to win the title after getting by Central Florida 44-7 here in Statesboro. but it appears that teams independents a la Central Florida and a la Georgia Southern are not getting a lot of notoriety around the country. For example, number 17, James Madison, is the highest ranked Division I AA team going right now. And of course, after number 1, 2, and 3, Nevada, Eastern Kentucky, and Holy Cross and others are playing so well. These teams are going to have to hope, whichever one comes out as a winner, that some of those top teams start knocking each other off, because if they don't, even with a reasonable record of going on and finishing with, say, an 8-4 record or 8-3, you could be out of the playoffs, and that would be a shame for particularly the defending champions Georgia Southern and for Central Florida if they could come back and play well the remainder of the year.
So the Eagles now face a 3rd down and 1. Eford pretty close to the first down, but we'll have to wait, and they may very well have to measure. He went right into that pile. Eford's in his senior season at fullback. He felt a couple of hits on that play. Steve Busceletti is also in that offensive lineup for the moment, and sometimes he'll come in, normally the linebacker.
He comes in short yardage situation with Eford lined up as a tailback, and the only thing Steve is telling the coach is, yeah, I'll come in and block, but when are you going to give me the football? And before you know it, it's going to be one of those refrigerator moves from Chicago, and Busceletti is going to get his chance. Big measurement here for both teams.
Going to be short. Crowd wants Georgia Southern to go for it, but the ball is at their own 43-yard line.
Now that would be a no-brainer to go for this right now, early in the game, down 6-0, with a punter like Don Norton. I mean, Norton can just kick it out of sight here, averaging 41 yards on 50 kicks so far this year. Young man's got a very lively leg, and watch as he kicks the football, only a step and a half. This is amazing, the distance he's getting out of that kind of approach to the ball.
Ryan Crutcher, the freshman from Dade City, Florida, is waiting back at the 15-yard line, and he's having to go against the wind as well. Not a very good punt at all, off the side of his foot. Hits right at midfield.
Totally got psyched out by the wind. Rather than trying to drive it into the wind, he was going to try to get it up and let it hold into the wind. Getting some good coverage, and that time just overthought the football and kicked it right out of bounds, very short. Big break for Central Florida.
A 7-yard punt. That'll hurt the average.
Or so it'll hurt his psyche more than anything, trying to think about that into the wind all day now.
UCF gets it back, playing good defense. Henshaw gives right up the middle. Alexander picks up 9 yards. Shot of the Eagles cheerleaders. Little injury there as well for Georgia Southern.
Go Eagles!
At least you still got a little spunk going, and
Second down, less than 1. A little movement in the backfield, and then number 74, Derek Connor, just obviously went offside, so it's going to be against the Knights.
Robert Alexander, who is a substitute, carrying only 14 times for 52 yards in there.
False start on the offense, still second down.
Trying to get used to the cadence. This is a new quarterback now. He started one game, out the last 2. They were using Ron Johnson. Kind of getting used to the cadence. That time Alexander didn't, and he was the one that moved before they had movement on the front line.
Second down 6 following the penalty. They give number 43 right up the middle. They're diving right at the 45-yard line. Charles Anderson.
Tackle by Paul Sickley.
Mark Giles in that defensive front. Nick Davis, number 47, really into that play. It's going to be 3rd down and a long 3.
Central Florida, they were hoping to go for the juggler right now as they lead at 6-0, and English, of course, was not in there, but now he's back in for the Knights.
1 period behind us here in Statesboro, Georgia, and as the exchange ends, 6-0. Central Florida leads the defending national champions. To begin the second quarter here at Paulson Stadium, Statesboro, Georgia. Georgia Southern 52-2 at Paulson Stadium over the last 7 years. And the fans get an early start in Georgia Southern. Third down, a long three. Hinshaw complete, 38-yard line to Rhodes across the 30 for the first down. Mark Giles was there defensively, but Rhodes picks up the first down on the 15-yard completion.
Well, this is not an unusual call for Gene McDowell in Central Florida as Hinshaw drops back. He's looking over the middle of Rhodes. Look as he's right between, again, the dropping linebackers and the two safeties coming up. But a good call. This is a team that averages 217 yards throwing, and they come right out into the wind.
English still pushing his way for a couple of extra yards. Steve Bussoletti finally grabbed the ankle. Let's go down to Glenn on the sideline.
Mike Dickinson had a hip pointer. He went in, got it looked at by the doctor, but he said there is no way you are keeping me out of this game, and so he is back. Willie Britton has a minor problem with his ankle. He's okay, and Eric Buckley's got a thumb problem, but nobody's going to miss this one.
Glenn sounded like Dr. Doom down there at times, doesn't it?
Second down. Brian Crutcher split out to the near side of the field. Hinshaw looks for him, incomplete. A bit overthrown. Jim Mutimer was there defensively covering. Brian Crutcher got hit pretty hard.
I'll tell you what, Crutcher's going to go back to that huddle after he gets a chance to do so. Tell Hinshaw, could you take that ball down just a bit? Boy, he was all strung out and took quite a shot from behind.
Third down long inside the Eagles' 30-yard line. David Rhodes in the lineup to the near side of the field. Cooper in motion. Hinshaw now, plenty of time, looking to the end zone, incomplete. Mark Giles got a hand on it to knock it away.
Well, this is nothing more than to save 6 points here. Hinshaw, this time he needed to loft it up and get some air under it. He does, and watches Giles, the last moment, dives, knocks it away. And you can see that Rhodes was right there, and he is in the end zone where he stands. Good play by Mark Giles.
There's a shot of Giles from Warner Robins, Georgia. The Knights are going to try for a 44-yard field goal. It would be Franco Grilla's longest of the season against the wind. And it's well short. Grilla had a 51-yarder last year, but his longest this season, 40. This one no good. 13:42 to go in the half. It's still 6-0. We'll return to Statesboro in a moment. In the second quarter, trailing 6-0, 13:42 to play in the first half. And Derek McGrady out of Statesboro High School, a hometown favorite here, has 5 carries for -7 yards and 0 of 1 passing early. He'll air it out, looking long, incomplete. And trying to hit Terrence Searle, but it was well overthrown. He wanted everything that time.
Well, didn't waste Georgia Southern any time saying, hey, that is the wind at our back, isn't it? And McGrady goes back, and he airs this one out. I tell you what, Searle's up the right sideline, and he's got daylight, and had that pass been just a tad shorter, that would have been 6. Of course, the cow had wings that could fly as well, but nonetheless. By the way, got a score for you. Baylor 3, TCU 2. They are playing football, by the way, down in the Southwest Conference.
Hopkins in motion. McGrady pitching back. Rick Hamilton there to make the tackle, number 42, the leading tackler for the Knights with 13 tackles a game. Will be third down 4.
Mike, a couple other quick scores for you. Georgia 21, Kentucky 7. Georgia Tech 21, North Carolina 7. And James Madison leads Richmond 7-0. All of those in the first half.
Belser to the near side of the field. The pass incomplete, blocked right at the line of scrimmage. Looked like Willie Britton got a hand on it. So McGrady will have to come to the sideline. as his punting unit comes onto the field. Don Norton.
And I'll bet your salary against my salary that Norton gets more than a 6-yard punt this time with the wind at his back. I'll tell you that.
It really is a strong wind, especially on the playing field.
Look at this one.
Dickinson is back in the lineup now to receive the punt at the 18-yard line. 25, 30, 35. Gets up to the 37-yard line, so a nice return by Mike Dickinson. Brad Oman was in on the tackle. We'll take a timeout. 12 minutes, 37 seconds to play in the first half. Central Florida on top, 6-0. We'll be back with more in a moment. Central Florida guilty of a holding penalty, so it'll move it back 10 yards now at the 28-yard line. It'll be first down and 20 as Central Florida begins its series here in the second quarter. Brett Cooper to the near side of the field along with Mike Dickinson. Henshaw picked off 45-yard line. Mutimer across the 30, 20, goes down at the 17, and Georgia Southern gets its first break of the game.
This is just a good case of playing a good deep center field role. This time Mutimer was back in the right position as Henshaw looking upfield, and this ball again a little bit overthrown, and Mutimer's right there. But what he does with the football afterwards, he escapes the tackle of Dickinson up the left sideline and cuts back in right there. Good cut, and that gained him another 10 or 15 yards and a good opportunity. But there is a flag down after the intercept. It's still Georgia Southern's ball though.
So we'll wait for our officials to discuss it. They're standing at about the 20-yard line. Our head referee is Bob McLaughlin. We'll hear from him on the penalty marker, which is laying back at the 27-yard line. He's obviously discussing with Georgia Southern, so it may very well be a late hit or piling on penalty. Here he is.
Personal foul on the white is declined. First down.
Interesting where this personal foul would come, because if it happens right there while the ball is still in the possession of Central Florida, then obviously you'd rub it out. If it comes on the run back, I think you would go ahead and take it. I think it would be marched off from the spot of the foul, but it's not the case. Nonetheless, Georgia Southern has it after a great intercept and run by Mutimer.
Mutimer with the 28-yard interception return, and Eagles jumped off sides here, it looks like, and they're going to be penalized 5 yards.
You know, Mike, talking about Central Florida and a turnover here in the game, they had 5 2 weeks ago against Sanford, but more than that, they had 8 against East Carolina early in the year. Got to shoot themselves in the foot.
False start. Offense, still first down.
Still getting used to that cadence of the new quarterback McGrady for Georgia Southern is Gene McDowell, 51 years old, also serves as the athletic director for Central Florida.
First down 15 as you look at the penalty numbers. More movement on the line. It looked like number 64 for Georgia Southern, James Baker, moved, and then Clifford Cole just came firing across.
Dead ball foul. False start. Offense, still first down.
So it will go against James Baker. Baker's a walk-on player for Georgia Southern, and Georgia Southern certainly utilizes the walk-ons.
They do indeed. 47 of their 93 on the roster are walk-ons who have made this program.
Belser to the near side of the field. The option, McGrady pitching back across the 25-yard line. Hudson picking up what will be 7.
Mike, I got to be honest with you. I'm a little surprised at the play call there. I realize the option is their bread and butter, but with a 1st and 20 and you've got this kind of wind at your back, I think I would have looked for some kind of short pass, something to open up the field, and then come on the 2nd down with a run. This time they string it out, get good yardage out of it, 5, but not enough. They're going to have to throw the football here somewhere inside this next 2 or 3 downs.
Darren Willis to the far side of the field. Belser to the near side. Right up the middle. Across the 20-yard line to about the 17. Rick Hamilton actually making the stop on Eford.
Tackle by number 42, Rick Hamilton. Third down.
Mike, they, by the way, are already in the comfort zone of David Kuhl. I think they got into that with that wind at his back when they crossed midfield. He, by the way, was hitting 50 and 60 yarders into the wind before the game today.
Eford with 7 carries now for 48 yards. Third down and a long 10 for the Eagles in their best field position of the game. McGrady trying to get outside the pressure, incomplete. He underthrew his intended receiver, Darren Willis. And so it'll be 4th down and long now. Walter Gibson defending for the Knights. Here comes the field goal unit. David Kuhl, the senior from Stone Mountain, Georgia. He had a third quarter 25-yard field goal to beat James Madison last week. He is 7 of 9 on field goals. His longest this year, 53. This will be a 35-yarder. Has the distance and the angle. So Georgia Southern gets on the board on a field goal, and so far it has been a game of field goals. 2 by Central Florida, 1 by Georgia Southern, and it's a field goal difference with 10:13 to go in the half. Georgia Southern held scoreless in the first period, but comes up with a field goal with 10:13 now to go in the first half. And Kuhl is now 8 of 10 on field goals after that 34-yarder, and so he has to be pleased with his 80% accuracy mark, and had the wind helping him too. Mark Whitmore standing back at the goal line to receive the kickoff. And remember, the wind is behind the Eagles right now, and the ball does carry a bit. I think I would have done that too.
I think that was the wisest choice he could have made. Well, David Kuhl, I don't know if he's just trying to check out this helmet or not. He's happy with a rather chip shot here. Thank you very much. Good thing he doesn't have to do his kicking with his head there. That neck will hurt for a while. 4
plays, lost a yard on that drive. You remember the Mutimer interception got the Eagles in scoring position, but the offense really struggled against the Knights to move it. Kuhl with the 35-yard field goal, and it's 6-3. Central Florida leads with just over 10 minutes to go in the half.
That was an interesting stat. 4 plays and lost a yard. That's interesting.
English picking up a couple of yards off the right side.
That'll be interesting here, Mike, to see what Central Florida does. They're looking into the wind now. You may recall their first possession they threw into the wind and they got stung for it, and now they're going to have to try to see what they can do about getting themselves back in gear here after getting the intercept. Will they keep it on the ground, or will they open it up with a throw? They're a balanced team. They go completely get away from the game plan if they stop throwing here.
2nd down 8. Hinshaw complete. Across the 40-yard line, Brett Cooper. And he's up to the 44. So against the wind, the Knights come out passing.
First down, Knights.
Defensive coaches for Georgia Southern are going to diagram this play in their sleep. What do? Do you drop your linebackers further up, or do you come with better support inside? That has been a gaping vacuum where Cooper has kind of operated in most of the afternoon. You may recall Rhodes has caught 2 in that same little hole between the linebackers and the dropping safeties.
Cooper with the 22-yard reception. English down across midfield, finally tripped up. He's goes down at the 46. Kevin Whitley was there to actually trip him up, but English with great speed once he got beyond the line.
He, by the way, is less than 60 yards away now from a 1,000-yard gain. And this is the kind of speed he possesses on the outside. There was no, where am I going to go? The hole had been nicely opened up. Everybody pinning everybody to the inside. Good blocking ahead of him there for Willie English, one of the best in all of NCAA football.
Up the middle, no room this time on 1st down and 10.
That, by the way, is called the Willie English take a breather play. Give the ball to somebody else, let Willie get his breath of fresh air, and then here they'll come. They'll be throwing on this one. Cooper along with Dixon are in. Rhodes surprisingly goes out, so they'll stay with one of their tight ends, but they'll go and look for Dixon, something curling underneath. And Cooper going a little deeper on this play now. That's probably what they'll be looking for on this one.
Central Florida using up some time. They're going to have to hurry to beat the delay of game penalty. Cooper to the near side of the field, and English powers ahead for maybe a yard or so. English now with 13 carries for 54 yards. Let's check in with Glenn.
Okay, guys, one of the great things about Paulson Stadium is you can sit in the stands if you want, or you can come up here on the hillside. People bring their blankets and bring other things and just kind of sit down here. We're with the Davis family right now. They've been coming here for 7 years with their kids. Hill is here with me, and I've got to get on to business here, gang. Have you got any sevens?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
He told me to go fish. Guys, back to you.
Third down 8. Pass complete. Cooper, but he'll be about a yard short of the first.
That was a play I thought they'd run a moment ago, thinking that Georgia Southern, I guess, was looking for it, came with a draw. That time Cooper curling underneath, and Dixon was flying up the field, but he gets up just a little short on this play.
So the punting unit has to come in. Kevin Woodward, the Miami junior, and he just has 3 punts this year, averaging 37 yards. So he's obviously going to try to get it inside the 10-yard line.
He must be their pooch punter here.
Against the wind, taken by Oglesby right at the 14. So he does his job.
Fair catch by Rodney Oglesby at the 15. Eagles ball.
We're going to take a break as the teams do as well. 7:05 to go in the first half. It's 6-3. Central Florida on top. Back at Paulson Stadium, Statesboro, Georgia. Central Florida with a 6-3 lead over Georgia Southern. 7:05 now to go in the first half. Take a look at some of the fans who have certainly turned out.
H&R Block. It's not tax time again, is it already? I didn't.
It happens too often, I know that. Eford right up the middle. You know, Derek McGrady, who started the game at quarterback, has yet to complete a pass in the first half.
Seems like he's kind of rushing it a little bit, Mike. He's on the rollout. He's kind of looking at a lot of different things now. In defense of Derek McGrady, and now this is his first start. Before the home fans, you can see they're in great numbers here. He's just kind of a little bit over rushing everything. Let it kind of come to him more than him trying to create something off the offense.
Second down 5. McGrady pitching back across the 25. Hudson. And he gets close to the 30.
See, that time a little bit more under control, Mike. He rolls out, had a good look, kicked the ball out very nicely. And that time Don Hudson had nothing but free running room. Watch as he comes down the line of scrimmage. Checks to see, there's the pursuit. There's a nice pitch. And the results is a good gain and a first down here for Georgia Southern. More control, more confidence. It just takes time for a young quarterback to obtain.
Don Hudson, the junior from Warner Robins, Georgia, played at Northside High School. 6:10 to go in the half. Eford up the middle, finds a hole. Penalty marker goes down as he picks up 13 yards. But the penalty marker is back at the line of scrimmage, and you know what that'll mean.
This was a well-designed play. Watch again the pulling guard from the left side and right in the hole, right where Ayub comes out of there and makes the block. Thought we had to call from the official, but not quite. But again, a good run by Eford, and it's going to be rubbed out, but a well-executed play by Georgia Southern.
It's going to go against the Eagles.
Shift on the offense. 2 men moving at the snap. Still first down.
Any movement on the front line, of course, would have stopped the play dead in its track. 2 runners moving in the backfield at the same time. They let the play go ahead. And in this case, they lose the yardage, does the Eagles of Georgia Southern.
A shot of Stowers. Coach Stowers in the sideline a few moments ago and put the headset on. 5:50 to go in the first half. 6-3, Central Florida on top. Up the middle again. No room at all. Maybe a 3-yard gain. Let's check in with Glenn.
Game all the way around. Another injury, this one on the Georgia Southern side. This is Julie, one of the cheerleaders who sprained her ankle. Years from now, she'll be on the golf course limping and say it's just an old football injury.
Where does Glenn come up with these?
I don't know. He's having too much fun. Are we paying him today? What is it?
He's sitting on the job. I noticed that. 2nd down 11. Sorrell to the far side of the field. McGrady to throw.
It's there.
Incomplete. Overthrew him. Belser was open, but just a bit overthrown.
Well, what a difference a week makes. That time McGrady overthrowing Belser last week. That was the hookup combination. As again, he had the huge game last week. 7 catches for 177 yards in their win and a couple of touchdowns, but that one just inches away from a big play.
So it'll bring up 3rd down and long. McGrady will throw, looking for his first completion. Incomplete. Intended for Chuck McClurg, and it was a bit underthrown.
Flag down, Mike.
The Eagles are going to be penalized for holding.
They're going to decline this, and I'm sure Central Florida, because that would use up the down and force Georgia Southern into kicking. Another thing it also would do
is decline. 4th down.
Is quite obviously get the ball back in their hand and save a little bit of time as well.
Georgia Southern 1 of 7 on 3rd down conversions here in the first half. And normally averaging 33% 3rd down conversions. Norton gets it away. Nice high punt. Dickinson, 32-yard line. Great coverage by the Eagles. Maybe a 2-yard return. Dickinson, of course, averaging 14 yards a return. So the Eagles specialty team doing a good job in holding that to 2. And so that's where Central Florida will begin at the 35-yard line with a 6-3 lead. 4 minutes, 46 seconds left in the first half. Both teams averaging about 23 points a game, and Central Florida last year had 31 points per game average and down just a bit with some of the key players lost from a year ago. Up the middle, English picks up about 4. 2nd down 6.
Frontline people for Central Florida doing a good job. They're influence blocking, they're trapping, they're doing a lot of things. Quinlan, Keene, Connor, Goforth, the likes up on that front line, and just doing an excellent job. And Gene McDowell checking to make sure what the offensive coordinator, in this case Mike Kruzek, is calling from the sidelines now.
Alexander in at fullback. Movement across the front. Number 60, Curtis Gordon, jumped defensively, and then the center just snapped it up a little bit before Henshaw was ready.
That was a good play by Grutanera. The center, he saw, of course, the man coming across the line of scrimmage, no contact, and he snapped the ball. He actually snapped it before the snap count and got the offsides. Good, smart play.
All right, white cap.
So it is offsides against the Eagles.
Offside on the defense. Still 2nd down.
2nd down and about 2. Remember, Central Florida will get the ball to begin the second half after deferring. With the ball here in the closing moments of the first half. English has the first down across midfield and out of bounds. English may get his record here in the first half.
He may indeed. This is a good-looking runner. I mean, he cuts outside. He's always looking towards the side of the field where he needs to cut. Nothing more than just a simple handoff. Nothing there. And he says, I'll just out-sprint him to the corner, and he's got that kind of speed to do so. And then actually runs right through one tackle before being banged out of bounds. Good-looking runner.
15 carries, 65 yards for English.
By the way, Alan Gooch is calling the plays down on the field. Mike Kruzek up here in the booth for Central Florida calls them down and relays them on the field.
Hand off to English again. Turns it back inside. Picks up 4. Michael Berry in on the tackle.
Remember, one of our keys, Mike, was run the football with English. Establish the running game to set up the short passes. Set up the passing game. Now they've done that. Now they're in the mode where now Georgia Southern is up on the line of scrimmage. The dump-in pass. Remember the little vacuum zone I talked about? Look for Cooper, Dixon, and whoever else is in there to kind of go right in that little zone now to see if that's open again.
2nd down. Hand off. Alexander on the draw. Picks up maybe a couple of yards. It'll be 3rd down and 4.
tackled by number 30, Paul Sickley.
3 minutes, 5 seconds to play. First half, 6-3. Central Florida with the lead. Central Florida has not beaten Georgia Southern since 1983. Georgia Southern has won 8 consecutive games over the Knights in what has become certainly a great rivalry. Mike Dickinson to the near side of the field. Hinshaw looking for English and dumped it a little bit in front of him. Incomplete. Punting situation for the Knights.
Well, this is just some great support. And Michael Morris, number 77. This was set up to be a screenplay all the way. There's the fake to influence the linebackers. The screen never materialized, and Hinshaw says, I got to get this thing out of here. Better look from up top. And look at Morris. He's charging like a herd of buffaloes, and there's the pass. English never had a chance to get it.
Look at the Knights sideline. Kevin Woodward again, number 22, in the punt. Angling toward the sideline. Oglesby signaling for the fair catch at the 18. So the Eagles will have 2.5 minutes to move the ball 82 yards, trailing 6-3.
Yeah, this is a gutty game for Oglesby. He's a player's had trouble with some bad injuries, as a matter of fact, and it even has gone so far as to just let everybody kind of look at that injury and to see what he can do. He's out there with a bad knee, and he's still playing and playing hard. And I think that's what you found both from coaches and sidelines to sideline this week, Mike, is that this is a very, very big football game for both these schools.
Belser and Willis in the lineup to the near side of the field, right up the middle. A couple of yards for Eford.
Tackle by Sotolsky.
Georgia Southern with 2 timeouts left in the first
Gain of
half.
5, second down at 23.
Thought they were going to call them all in that first quarter, it seemed like. So many called timeouts by both sides.
Second down 5. Willis and Belser now to the far side of the field. Reverse. Hudson right back for maybe a 2-yard pickup.
I want to tell you who made that play. Number 90, Clifford Cole. Watch the support he's going to get on the outside when the option is coming back of the reverse. They take it to the right. He comes back to the left, and boom, Clifford Cole was the man that set that up. Now here's the flow. It's all going to the right. There's the pitch. Now watch number 90. See how he's fighting off the block? He influences that, turns it back into the help, and that was the man that made that a good defensive play for Central Florida.
McGrady keeping this time across the 30, and he has the first down. With a minute and a half to go in the first half, Greg Jefferson made the tackle, but Derek McGrady turned it back on the option and picked up the first. Last week, McGrady was 10 of 18 passing for 217 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's still looking for his first completed pass of the game here in the first half. Right up the middle, a couple of yards for Eford. Just over a minute to play in the first half, and Georgia Southern will use its second timeout.
Georgia Southern only needs to get, as I mentioned, to that midfield stripe, or at least a couple of strides inside to let Cool have a shot at it with that wind. You can hear the microphones. It's really gusting now, maybe up to 20, 25 miles an hour. If Cool gets one up in the wind, he could hit it from 50 and out.
Stat to pass on. Eford now with 11 carries, 65 yards. So he's holding his own along with English. There's Coach McDowell.
Hope he doesn't get that new hat soil. It's starting to rain out there. Now we know why Glenn is outside the booth.
Entire Eagles offensive team has come over to the sideline to confer with the offensive coaches. And we do have some rain coming down now at Paulson Stadium. The crowd did not come prepared for rain. Very few umbrellas here, and everybody is scampering a bit here in the second quarter.
Hey, what, you put an umbrella up in the middle of that stand, you're going to have a pretty good battle on your hands to put that sucker down.
Well, the sun is shining on the Knight side of the field, and it's raining on Georgia Southern side. Maybe that's part of the situation today on the 6-3 game. Eford across the 35 to the 37. 55 seconds now to play in the first half. Scott Ariel made the tackle. They're trying not to get wet. They have a halftime show to do. McGrady, with the rain coming down hard now, overthrows his intended receiver. Darrell Hopkins was at about the 40-yard line, but it's going to be 4th down now, and there is an injured Georgia Southern lineman back at the 30-yard line. It's difficult to see the number, but he's grabbed that left knee. Really seems to be in pain. Looks like number 54 who seems to be injured as you watch it again. Kevin Morris.
This, by the way, is the natural way McGrady likes to roll out. This is a coverage by Central Florida. He had no place to throw it. He's just literally dumping this football off. Well over the intended receiver, well under Willis, way upfield. Some concern, quite obviously, here is that rain is going to be a big concern for handling the football. This football field is all natural turf, and it's an excellent one. No matter how much rain they're going to get here, it will still have excellent footing this half and certainly into the second half, barring, of course, a monsoon that might hit here. But they can handle this rain with no problem on that field.
Offensive guard Miguel Ayab apparently actually made a block, which produced the injury against Morris, if you were able to pick that up in the replay.
Some of them don't know it's raining out there. Right?
They're doing the chop. We can watch the replay again, perhaps, to pick up the injury at the bottom right of your screen.
It was his own man right into his left knee, as Ayub just trying to block back, trying to keep Jefferson out of there again. And you can see the big concern going on down on the field at the moment. It's a tough way to go down when your own man coming back trying to help you out.
Well, this crowd really is trying to cover during this rain shower, which is lightening up a bit. It's difficult to tell, but a lot of fans are running to their cars, it looks like, to try to find umbrellas. They're even running across the street to a gas station to get under the cover.
Even a mascot trying to get out of here.
Yeah. Well, you're from Florida. This is not an unusual thing in Florida.
This is a wonderful day. You just wear your rain gear and go about your business. We, by the way, had 15 inches of rain. I live in Coconut Grove, just south of the downtown area of Miami. We had 15 inches of rain. I had to dump out my pool 7 times to keep it from overflowing. It was unbelievable how much rain.
Wonder where Glenn is.
Glenn is nowhere to be found, folks. Well, he probably got all the 7s and headed for the exit. Well, it's a tough break for a player going down, and in this situation, I don't want to make light of the injury, but what it does, it takes away a little bit of the element here for Georgia Southern. I just had a feeling that they had one more aerial attack they were going to come with on this 4th down play and let the chips fall where they may, particularly if they give it to Central Florida. Even where they are now, they're out of field goal range with that wind blowing in, and they'd have to throw something to the end zone with less than a minute to play.
And there's a shot of those fans trying to find cover. I'm sure they're not going to leave the game. It's only second quarter. And what a great game we have. A 3-point difference as Kevin Morris comes to the sideline, and you can tell they've put a brace on that left knee. So now the Eagles are going to have to punt. Don Norton averaging 41 yards a punt with the wind behind him and a little rain falling to try to hamper the receiver, but it appears that Central Florida will not put anyone deep, not risk a fumble.
They're coming after it, though.
Nice punt. We'll see if it gets it out of bounds. No. Touchback back to the 20-yard line. So Central Florida will have 29 seconds to do something here as you look at Don Norton, who just punted the ball with the help of the wind. Looks like the rain has stopped for the final 30 seconds. Norton's punt officially 63 yards, so that bad punt of about 7 yards earlier will balance out here. Henshaw going down on one knee, and that will actually do it. There is 20 seconds left in the second quarter, but it looks like Central Florida will just let the time run down. Central Florida really came out strong, moving the ball effectively in the first couple of series against the Eagles.
Well, they took the gamble. They went ahead and let Georgia Southern have the football first. They took the win. They knew that if they didn't get a touchdown, they'd have a couple opportunities. If they could get it close enough to get a couple of field goals, boom, they do. And right now they're setting pretty. But keep in mind, Georgia Southern has notoriously been a team that comes back in the third quarter, and we'll find out what happens in the third as we're looking forward to a very interesting situation.
Well, as you know, as we've said before, even the second greatest comeback ever in Georgia Southern history took place last Saturday in Harrisonburg, Virginia. JMU was up 21-0 at the half, and Georgia Southern came back to win it 24-21. Now, Glenn is on the sideline with Coach McDowell. Let's check in. Glenn?
Okay, we're a little wiggly down here. UCF is up 6-3 at the halftime, and I know they'd like to be up a little bit more than that. Head coach Gene McDowell is standing by right here now. Coach, I know you'd like to be up more than 6-3, but you have to be pleased with the first half.
I'm always pleased to be ahead. If it hangs, if we stay ahead by 3 points, I'll be most happy.
You happy with the performance of Darren Henshaw?
Yeah, there was a couple of things that if he had done a little different, we'd have been a little better off. But overall, I'm real happy with it.
Okay, Central Florida leads 6-3 at the halftime. Now they got to keep it up in the second half. Back to you.
Okay, Glenn, it is 6-3 here at the break, and as the marching band comes on from Georgia Southern, we'll take a break. 6-3, Central Florida, the visiting team, is leading at Paulson Stadium, and Georgia Southern has only lost 2 games here ever. Georgia Southern here in Statesboro, Georgia. What an outstanding school and program, and certainly have produced quality football teams over the last 10 years, actually trailing those 6-3 to Florida State here at halftime. We're a few minutes away from the second half beginning. Let's turn to our statistics if we can and check out how these teams did in the first half.
Well, the rushing yardage you can see is just about even there, even though the Eagles have a slight advantage 90-80. But look at the passing yardage, 0 right now for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. That's where they have to get off the goose egg. 166 yards, well in line with the offense that Central Florida puts on the board. The first downs, 8-4 Central Florida. Time of possession pretty well even. Both teams had 6 possessions of the football in the first half of the game, and obviously a 6-3 ball game. But again, if Georgia Southern's going to take control in this third quarter, they're going to have to do it in that second category, Mike, where they've got to get some passing yardage to support the running game.
Well, you know, Georgia Southern averaging about 100 yards a game passing, but it was last week against JMU that they came up with a 217, and that was really what made the difference. But Georgia Southern not normally a passing type team.
I tell you what happens in that situation is that all week James Madison is preparing to stop the rush. All of a sudden, the team that you're trying to stop the rush on gets down 21-0, and they come with a totally different look, and you don't even know they can pass it to the people that they're passing to or that well. And quite obviously, that was the big turning point last week against James Madison.
Well, let's head down to the field. Glenn.
Coach Tim Stowers of Georgia Southern, you're down 6-3. It could be much worse. I guess that's the way you have to look at it.
Well, it really could be. I've been telling our players what a great Central Florida football team we're playing. They have a lot of incentive to want to beat Georgia Southern, and they're playing it right now. We're playing very complacent right now, and we got 30 minutes to play to have a chance to go on and do what we can do this football season. And this 30 minutes is probably the most important football 30 minutes that we had all season so far.
What adjustments are you going to have to make?
More mental adjustment more than anything else.
Okay, good luck in the second half, Coach Stowers. Central Florida leads 6-3, and it should be an interesting second half because, as he said, the playoffs ride.
I thought that was interesting. He mentioned the mental game again.
Well, that was one of the 3 keys he told us, the mental toughness of the ball club. Yes, they come out and more or less steal a victory from the jaws of defeat at James Madison last week, 24-21. You come in, you're playing Central Florida, you've kind of controlled them over the last years, including 2 wins and the 44-7 win last year. And you can get a little complacent. But again, let me emphasize, the third quarter has been the big quarter for Georgia Southern all year long. Central Florida's got the same stat book we have. They know that. So quite obviously it'll be interesting to see how this man, Tim Stowers, who played his college ball at Auburn, goes up against the man that played his college ball at Florida State and was an outstanding linebacker, Gene McDowell, across the way.
Georgia Southern will kick off. Central Florida will receive. And remember, Central Florida won the toss and deferred to the second half, and obviously will receive here to begin the second half of play. David Kuhl, number 3, heading to kick off to Mark Whitmore, number 14, who is back at the goal line. A win behind the Eagles back in the third quarter, and they certainly had better take advantage of it. 10-yard line down to about the 14, so Whitmore returns at 14 yards. And that's where Central Florida will begin offensively.
That was a rather impressive kickoff by Kuhl, because that breeze that was coming at 20 to 25 early on in the game has pretty well just died down to just a little slight zephyr here.
There's a look at Central Florida's backs and receivers. Darren Henshaw at quarterback. The offensive line. Some injuries across there the end of the first half. English picks up maybe a yard. Georgia Southern's defense seems to be a little more fired up coming out here at the start off the second half.
Well, Michael Berry, the defensive lineman, he's from the outside. He forces the ball to go outside, and slamming down is going to be Nick Davis, one of their fine linebackers, number 3rd tackler among this team with 44 tackles, and he gets a beautiful slant on it. But again, the defensive lineman turning everything inside.
Dickinson split to the near side of the field. Second down, 10. Pressure, incomplete. Henshaw intended the pass, but incomplete because Alec Mash was right there grabbing at his jersey. Ron Thau was actually going out for the pass.
You know, Mike, the last time we saw him, we said, how long is it going to be before they call it the Mash attack? Well, here it is. That's Alex Mash. Remember, I mentioned also that Busaletti brings people up to his level of intensity. This is a guy that Busaletti greatly influences. When he gets on, Georgia Southern can be tough defensively.
Third down, 10. English hit right at the line of scrimmage.
Guess who?
And the Georgia Southern defense got the crowd involved on that one, and will get the ball back as Central Florida has to come in to punt. Oglesby waiting back at the midfield area. Kevin Woodward in to punt again. Oglesby fair catches at the 50. So great field position for the Eagles as they begin offensively to start the second half. There's timeout on the field. 13:42 to go in the third quarter. 3-point game. We'll be back in a moment. Cloudy day, Statesboro, Georgia. Central Florida with a 6-3 lead here, and we did have a rain shower in the second quarter, which stopped about halftime, so the players got wet and the field got a little bit wet, but no factor here now in the third quarter. Georgia Southern gets the ball for the first time to start the second half. First down, 10. McGrady at quarterback. Pass is complete. Penalty marker goes down, but the pass complete to Hudson at the 36-yard line. And that's McGrady's first completion, but we'll have to see what the penalty is here. Holding against the Eagles. And there's the reaction of Hudson.
This time you see the 2 A-backs are up blocking here, and that includes, of course, the receiver who heads up the field, and Hudson's right into it.
Holding on the offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
May have caught just a glimpse of the holding. Again, an offensive lineman has to keep the hands on the inside of the elbows. Once the hands move outside the elbow and above the shoulder pad, then it, of course, is holding. We may have caught just a brief look at that right at the line of scrimmage. Interesting, Georgia Southern, with what wind is still lighter than it was. They do come out throwing here to start this third.
Interesting note we just received from the locker room. Remember number 54, Kevin Morris, the offensive lineman for Georgia Southern, who was injured in the second quarter. As we understand, his left knee is injured. He'll have exploratory arthroscopic knee surgery on Monday. The pitch going back to Hopkins. He goes out of bounds at the 39-yard line. 5-yard gain. But it's going to be second down long. Hopkins, as you'll remember, was the hero of the title game last year in Georgia Southern's national championship. 2 TDs, 86 yards rushing.
Guess what? The rain is coming back.
Just as the crowd was coming back, the rain comes back, and
just looking out this window, it may stay for a while too.
McClurg to the near side of the field. Grady, penalty marker goes down again. He gets up to the 48-yard line, but we may see another holding call. 2 markers back at the 35.
That's kind of a tough situation to put your lineman in. Obviously, it was a drop back pass situation. Linemen are back pass blocking. All of a sudden, the quarterback changes direction. He can't get the pass off, makes the run, and the linemen are kind of caught between darn if you do and darn if you don't. And when they start trying to move their blocks up the field, that's when they're going to get some holding.
On the offense, 10-yard penalty, still second down.
You know, this is the first rain at Paulson Stadium during a game since December of 1989 when Georgia Southern was playing Montana in the 1AA semifinals. So the weather has been nice to the folks in Statesboro on Saturday football games, but it is not today. McGrady scrambling. 30-yard line, goes down at the 34. Picks up about 7 yards before Scott Errol made the tackle. But McGrady's going to have an awful tough time picking up any passing yardage in this.
Well, both these ball clubs are substantially running teams. Now, the footing on the field I mentioned is still, in this situation, still good. Now, if it keeps raining like this, it may not be. But it will create some problems in trying to throw the football from here on in. No doubt about that at all.
3rd down, 18. Motion by Wright. McGrady trying to throw. Searle is open. Incomplete. Overthrew him. Darrell Belsler was open, but overthrown. And he's been overthrown a couple of times in the contest. $12 minutes, 26 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter as it starts pouring down here. Norton's punt with the wind. And it goes out of bounds right at the 11-yard line. Great punt by Norton. And so that's where Central Florida will start, pinned back inside the 15-yard line. Timeout on the field, 12:16 to go in the 3rd quarter. The rain is coming down and Georgia Southern trails by 3. Back in Statesboro, Central Florida running a quick play. English picking up a couple of yards. Central Florida with a field goal lead here in the 3rd quarter. 11 minutes, 36 seconds to go in the 3rd period. Ball spotted at the 23-yard line, so no real gain at all for English. English hit hard at the line, bounces out to the 25, picks up maybe 2 yards.
English again gets this ball very deep, about 6 or 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and look at the contact he fights through right there. He gets hit by a couple of the ensuing defensive linemen, but again keeps his legs moving, gets his knees up good and high, and really kind of bounces off of them. Again, 212 pounds and all moving in the right direction.
2nd down, 8. Right up the middle. English bouncing outside, goes down at the 27-yard line. Number 30, Paul Sickley, the Dalton, Georgia senior, made the stop. He was actually the number 2 tackler last year.
By the way, English is only 5 yards away from reaching 1,000 and is closing in on 1,279 yards by Mark Giacone, of 1,279, an all-time record at Central Florida last year.
Georgia Southern trying to get its crowd involved in the game. And Central Florida will take a timeout. Darren Henshaw did not like something he saw and took Central Florida's first timeout here in the 2nd half. And you can notice the rain has really played havoc with the folks here. 6-3, Central Florida on top. We'll be back. Central Florida on top 6-3. 10 minutes, 12 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. A rainy day in Georgia.
Oh, no.
3rd down 7. Henshaw gives to number 43, who gains a couple of yards across the 30-yard line.
Number 43, Charles Anderson.
Anderson picking up a few yards, but it's going to be 4th down now and punting situation for the Knights. So Georgia Southern's defense holds here in the 3rd quarter. Oglesby will go back at the 45-yard line to return the punt from Kevin Woodard. Oglesby has had nothing but fair catches in the contest so far, and he was calling for a fair catch, and now he runs. I think he's going to be penalized for that.
That'll be one penalty, and another penalty that obviously they called as well. They won't call 2 here, but they will call 2 is, first of all, he caught the ball after fair catching. The other, they were blocking after a fair catch had been called.
So as they discuss the penalty, we'll take a timeout. 9 minutes, 27 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Still a field goal difference. Head coach Gene McDowell pacing the sideline with his team on top, 6-3. That was the score at half. While Tim Stowers will try to bring his Georgia Southern Eagles team back in what has become really a defensive struggle, aided by the rain here in the 3rd period.
Mike, it's also become a mental toughness game. Remember, Stowers said you'd have to be mentally tough. Without the rain, without the wind, the game itself was going to be tough enough. And now you add this element to it, and now both clubs have to keep their concentration to win a football game.
Belser and Willis to the near side of the field. Grady handing off right up the middle. Eford,
the ball carrier, brought down by
picks
number
up
95,
4. Greg Jefferson out of Bartow, the freshman, made the tackle. So it's going to be 2nd down and 12. There was a penalty against Georgia Southern, and that actual penalty was against Oglesby for signaling the fair catch and then running. Belser to the near side. Willis far side. McGrady will throw. It's complete right at the 1st down marker. Don Hudson made the grab. It will depend on where it's marked, and it looked like maybe about a half a foot short of the 1st.
This is going to be a great catch. Again, rolling out is Don Hudson as McGrady back to throw in the pocket. Pretty good protection. Now watch as he has to extend and stretch and then takes a shot and holds onto the football. That was a great catch. Another good angle for it. And you'll really get to see the support coming here by Central Florida. Ball is wobbly. Hudson had to come back and go after it. And then he gets nailed right after he catches the football. And a good hit from behind by Steve Wright, who is called one of the most physical players in that secondary for Central Florida.
Well, it wasn't pretty, but it was McGrady's first completed pass. He's 1 of 9, has an interception in the contest, so at least he can put that behind him and build on the 1 completion. McGrady trying to run the option, and he picks up the 1st down, but there is a penalty marker at the line of scrimmage.
You saw Busaletti again leading the way at the fullback. Again, their All-American linebacker, number 96. And boy, McGrady's upset here.
Dead ball foul. False start. Offense still 3rd down.
Eagles really being plagued by penalties.
Longtime Eagle broadcaster Nate Hirsch coming in and saying, boy, these have really been the real problems with this ball club today. And again, and going into the 3rd, it continues to plague them. And there's a look at it. 9 penalties for 65 yards already in this game. And keep in mind that they had 1, I think 2 that were declined, so they don't add on to the numbers there.
8 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. Georgia Southern trailing 6-3. McGrady to throw. Incomplete. Belser made the grab, but he was hit right as he caught the ball. Ruled incomplete. Hossapple was there to make the hit.
Let's watch again McGrady. Here's that wounded Quayle again coming up, and look as the extension, and I think that's going to be Wright's the guy that really nailed him again. Another look at it. Look at the ball wobbling here. Good extension. Boom. There's the hit.
Norton's punt taken by Whitmore. He goes down at the 14-yard line. So a nice punt.
Was that one of those new dance steps he did when he got that football? That was interesting, huh? Little break dancing in the end there.
Yeah. Trying to fake out that specialty team unit. Central Florida gets it back for the second time in the second half. 7:42 to play in period number 3. Mark Giles, number 10. You're looking over his shoulders. English crosses the 20, 25 up to the 28, and I think this may be his 1,000 yards.
He only needed 5 before that carry, so that should put him well over the mark. Only the second player in the history of Central Florida to go over 1,000 yards. As you see, nothing fancy. Look at the blocking in the front line, and look how they pull and pick up the backside linebackers. Very nicely done blocking, and English does the rest, and he is the second 1,000-yard rusher in the history of Central Florida.
He'll get the call again across the 30 up to about the 33, and a penalty marker goes down late. You know, Paul Sickley was in on the tackle, but you know, the interesting thing about English is that we're just a little over midway through the season. 7 games now, or 8. This is the 8th game. Gaiacone's 1,200 yards.
Dead ball foul, personal foul, blue.
Included the playoffs last year. So indeed, Willie English is showing his running ability, and the Eagles now being penalized 15 more yards for what was a late hit.
Personal foul on the defense, first down.
You can be intense, you can play very hard, but you have to play smart, and that's what Georgia Southern did not do. Now the man is already heading down. Here's one hit, and here's where the hit's going to come from, right there. And you get that hit late on the outside, and it's just not going to be a good situation, as Brad Allman was the man that made the late hit.
English on the draw loses 2 yards on the play, but English has also recorded his 6th straight 100-yard rushing game. Now at 104 yards rushing on 26 carries. But he loses 2, and it's going to be second down 12. 6.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Tight game in Statesboro, Georgia. Off the right side to about the 47-yard line. Charles Anderson getting the call. It's going to be third down long.
Now, Mike, that the rain has stopped, quite obviously these 2 running plays here on a third down play, Georgia Southern's cognizant of it. Now you can look for some kind of pass in that little zone. Once again, that little vacuum that's been set up early in the first half. Is it still there? Has Georgia Southern made the defensive changes? We'll find out, because they will throw the ball on this third down play right here.
And the rain has stopped, so that will not be a factor. The sun is back out. Third down 10. Crutcher split out to the near side of the field. Henshaw going over the middle, and well outthrows Brian Crutcher by about 10 yards. Mark Giles, number 10, covering defensively.
I think one of the keys to that defensive stand was, again, the rush they got off the front line. Busaletti and company, along with Alex Mash, put so much pressure on Henshaw, he just had to unload before he wanted to there.
Kevin Woodward back in to punt. Oglesby waiting at the 25. Georgia Southern has blocked 7 punts this year and was coming on that one as Oglesby fair catches at the 26, and the crowd wants a penalty marker here because that was a fair catch signal and he was bumped. But they won't get it. The last time Oglesby was penalized for running after calling the fair catch. This time he calls it, looked like he was bumped.
I think the officials are watching it closely to see if he was bumped into him by one of the Georgia Southern players. I'm not sure that's the situation, but it could have been.
McGrady across the 30-yard line, picks up 5. Scott Ariel, the junior from Bainbridge, Georgia, made the tackle.
You know, Glenn had pointed out that Southern Cal hasn't beaten Notre Dame since 1982, I believe. Well, they may not again today. Notre Dame 14, Southern Cal 0. That's in the second period. We're looking for an update, by the way, on that Holy Cross and Lehigh game. If we get an update on that, we'll try to pass it on. Last score was tied at 7-7 at halftime. Both those clubs undefeated.
5 minutes to go in the third quarter. McGrady on the option, turns it back, picks up 7. close to the first down.
See, Mike, what right now McGrady's doing, he's being more decisive with the football. He's coming down the line of scrimmage. He's not so much looking for the option to help him out. He's now taking what's there. I think in the first half he might have been coming down the line of scrimmage looking to try to create something. Now he's just taking it down, and he's already made up his mind because it's there. Why not take it? And he gets 7 yards out of the play.
Georgia Southern will have to measure here, and today Georgia Southern is 2 of 11 on third down conversions, so they certainly hope for the first.
By the way, Mike, have you seen the new stick that they have now, that it is no longer a chain? It's a stick that goes from 1 yard line to another as the first down is called here. It takes a mathematical genius to figure out how they do that. I saw it in a college game just the other day. I can't remember what they call it, but they've done away with the chain. And it's really, really an interesting call. Particularly, it takes only one man now to come out and make a measurement for the 1st and 10. Some of the major college games that you see around the country, see if they're not using what is called a measuring stick for the first downs now, rather than the chain.
Derek McGrady, 15 yards on 9 carries. This time he'll throw. Pressure trying to get to the outside. Complete. First down at the midfield marker. Terrence Sorrell made the grab.
You know, it's too bad we don't have a facial impression here of Derek McGrady. He rolls out to his right. Right here, he's looking, and again, Belser is still running up the field. McGrady's saying, where are you going? All of a sudden, Belser turns around, comes back and helps him out. I believe that's Sorrell, excuse me. Comes back and helps him out, but right here, McGrady's going, that's not the pattern I called. And he does his athletic ability to get out here, and Sorrell comes back to help him out with the catch.
First down 10. McGrady pitching back across midfield. Hopkins out of bounds at the 43. Let's go down to Glenn.
You guys are probably wondering where I've been. I've been trying to stay dry. Stella, unfortunately, didn't let me be part of this. Are you staying dry down here?
No, not quite. I'm wet all over.
CJ's down here. Wave at it. I'm gonna try and stay dry someplace, guys. I don't know where.
Nothing worse than the rain and then the sun comes out. It's so humid, and really seems to be, even though the wind keeps blowing.
It's a steam bath down there right now.
Darrell Belser split out to the near side of the field, right up the middle. Eford, first down.
We told you the third quarter is when Georgia Southern's offense starts to, for some reason or other, it's like Tim Stowers presses a button. Now the offense, this fabled option, if you will, of Georgia Southern is just starting to pick apart the defense of Central Florida.
Chuck McClurg, number 89, is back in the lineup now. Brings in the play. And now he'll come out to the near side of the field. Terrence Sorrell is to the far side on first down 10. McGrady pitching back. Hopkins picks up a couple of yards. Steve Wright was there to make the tackle. Steve Wright had a big fumble recovery against William and Mary in the playoffs last year, and you'll remember Central Florida made it to the semifinals of the 1AA playoffs before losing to Georgia Southern.
You know, that was a good ball game at halftime, though. It was 9-7 at halftime. It was really good, and all of a sudden Central Florida abandoned the run, went to the pass, and Georgia Southern got a couple of interceptions and turned the ball game right upside down.
Belser and Sorrell split out again. McGrady wants to throw. Looking over the middle. Incomplete. Knocked away by, or actually picked off. Up to the 28-yard line. Bobby Spatulski picked it off.
Boy, the man that made this play, though, is one of their real outstanding players. He's been out with a knee injury. His name is Eric Buckley. Watches McGrady throwing. The ball is up for grabs, but watch number 11 right there, Buckley. And Spatulski kind of just filtering back as a linebacker. Says, look, Mom, what I've got, and makes the rest of it history. Again, UC just knocked it away at the last second on the jump ball, and these players don't know it's been intercepted yet.
Neither did I.
Spatulski, they're 6'3", 220. They say a lot of pro scouts have visited Orlando. They really like what they see in this linebacker.
2 interceptions this season as Hopkins is injured on the field, has his helmet off. 16-yard return for Spatulski, who actually missed the first couple of games of the year, had the flu this week during practice, but He came on obviously to play in the game. But
well, this is tough on Hopkins here, Mike. He's a senior. He's had both knees have already been operated on, a 5'10", 200-pounder, and been kind of in and out of the lineup. A very emotional type player. And it's good to see him up and about because we're already with 2 knee operations. That can be scary with him down. We'll try to pick up. This is Spitulski on the mad run. You see the diving tackle from behind and the head-on collision. Boom. And he just got his bell rung. Spitulski weighing in at 220. And just under 200 pounds, of course, is Hopkins. But that was a full head of steam by Spitulski to knock him down that time.
So following the interception, the second against Georgia Southern, Central Florida starts first down 10 at the 28. Reverse. Whitmore, 35. He's hit hard right at the 35-yard line. Mark Giles came up from his free safety position to make the tackle, but not before an 8-yard gain.
Well, they're starting to find out what good money will do in buying very good shoulder pads, helmets, and protection. Watch this collision right here. Boom. I mean, that's just some good hard-nosed football in the open field. Good play by Central Florida to try to spread the defense out, but good support from the safeties, and doing a good job coming up is Mark Giles, one of the most physical players, one of those good walk-ons here for Georgia Southern.
Minute and a half to go in the third quarter. English hit at the line of scrimmage, bounces out, picks up a couple of more yards. Alex Mash makes the tackle. Paul Carroll got a shoulder pad on English, but couldn't bring him down.
Tough runner, over 1,000 yards, just keeps moving.
Central Florida will face a 3rd down and 2, and UCF is 5 for 13 on 3rd down conversions this afternoon as the Georgia Southern fans come to life with 1 minute to go in the 3rd period. 3rd down 2. English first down at the 39.
You know, Mike, this is a huge emotional lift for Central Florida right now. First of all, they picked off the intercept. They got away with a big play there, and now they gain a first down when Georgia Southern's fans are trying to get the Eagles into it. And they lead it 6-3 here in the 3rd quarter, so that was a huge emotional lift on the intercept and now gaining the first down and not having to just turn around and give the ball back.
Coach McDowell has to be proud of his defensive unit as well as the offensive unit. First down, English, pressure. Oglesby was there. Maybe a yard gain. Final seconds of the 3rd quarter. Central Florida may not get to run a play here. They'll have 2nd down, 9 for the final period. Central Florida will have the wind at its back and a 3-point lead. Coach Stowers has his work cut out. End of the 3rd period, 1 15-minute block to go. 6-3, Central Florida leads. The Knights on top of the Eagles in Statesboro, Georgia, 6-3. We've played 3 quarters and we're getting ready to go into the final quarter.
Glenn's going to be in trouble now. They're throwing out Frisbees in the stands now.
Let's see if Glenn comes up with one.
You know he will.
Central Florida with the ball, 2nd down, 9, 39-yard line. Movement, and we may get an illegal procedure penalty on Central Florida. Some movement by number 74 across the front, Derek Connor. We'll wait.
Dead ball foul. False start. Offense. Still 2nd down.
5 yards, moves it back. 2nd down, 15.
Mike, let me update a couple more scores. Georgia 42, Kentucky 27 in the 3rd. Georgia Tech 35, North Carolina 7. Now that's in the 4th. James Madison 33, Richmond 10 in the 2nd, and Eastern Kentucky leads Tennessee Martin 7-0.
Henshaw looking over the middle, incomplete. Mark Giles covering. It was intended for number 21, Mike Dickinson, but it was overthrown. So it'll be 3rd down and long.
Mike, a reminder to those fans watching in Orlando that the Knights will be back home. That'll be next Saturday at 7 o'clock at the stadium. It'll be Savannah State. It's homecoming They'll play at Liberty on the 9th and play Millersville back in Orlando on the 16th to round out their schedule. But homecoming next week against Savannah State.
And Georgia Southern is back home for 4 straight games after an extensive road trip to begin the year. Pressure on Hinshaw. He's sacked back at the 22. Michael Morris made the play.
All set up by the MASH attack coming on a stunt on the inside, number 99. And these fans are being well treated here. Watch again as 99 coming straight up the middle. That's MASH. And a good stunt to the outside and a good play as Morris and MASH put him down.
The punt just does get it away. Woodward. Oglesby takes it at the 38, has to backtrack. 35. Gets back up to about the 38-yard line. The sack, by the way, was Georgia Southern's first sack of the game. And there's a penalty marker back at the original line of scrimmage. Illegal motion against Central Florida. And will the Eagles have them kick it again? I think I would.
Good kick by Woodard. You know you're going to try to get some more real estate, even though Oglesby made a pretty good play out of that run back.
And they will take it back. And we've told you actually Georgia Southern has blocked 7 punts, just 2 shy of tying an NCAA 1AA record for a season. And how one would help the Eagles here.
Again, Mike, we've been watching that wind. It's starting to pick up just ever so slightly once again. Nothing like we had in the first and the second periods of the ball game today after the rain.
Woodward back, standing inside the 5-yard line. Watch the Eagle pressure. Gets it away. Oglesby retreating, takes it at the 34. Looking for a block. 40, 45. Penalty marker goes down. He's up to the 48. But another penalty marker, and boy, the Eagles have been plagued by penalties. We may see a clip. Oglesby did a good job of finding and waiting for his blockers to help him. But instead of being near midfield, it may be poor field position.
Was a clip. You called it right, Mike.
10 penalties now. Actually, 11 for 83 yards.
What's this catch of Oglesby right there? You talk about a tough catch going backwards on the punt. He waits for his blockers, and that I don't think was the clip. It must have come right there as Oglesby made the second cut. That's probably apparently where the clip was, even though the flag was thrown about 15 yards away.
So Georgia Southern loses nearly 30 yards in field position on the penalty.
It's one of those you go back, and hindsight's great. You go ahead and refuse the penalty, and you've got good field position.
Well, the great thing with 14 minutes left is that anyone can win this game. 6-3, and while it's been difficult for the scoring, a big play could make all the difference for either team.
By the way, Central Florida has just given up the football after their 4 possessions. This is the 5th possession of the second half now for Georgia Southern, and again, neither club has really even smelled the end zone so far.
Derek McGrady, first start, his junior season. Options, Hudson, 20-yard line, 25. Picks up 8 yards. Scott Ariel made the tackle.
Containing the quarterback and containing the option, one of the things they really wanted to do for Central Florida. This time they string it out pretty good, get a good block on the corner, and of course they do the rest as Hudson turns the corner for a good gain for Georgia Southern.
25-yard line, second down, 2. Eford picks up the first across the 30, trips to the 32. 13:47 to play. Central Florida leads 6-3. The Knights have just beaten Georgia Southern once in their 11-game series. That was 1983. And they feel it here. Darren Willis to the near side of the field. Grady keeping 45-yard line. Scott Ariel again to make the stop.
Pretty much of just the set offense. They're trying to do a little quarterback reverse. Again, they take all the action and motion to the right side, and then McGrady has already made up his mind where he wants to take the ball. Just turns it right up over some good blocking front line. Again, Nottage along with Baker, Ayub, Farrell, and Parrish. Rusty Parrish, the big center right in the middle, doing a job there on the front line for Georgia Southern.
Steve Payne, number 22, the sophomore from Chadsworth, is in the lineup now. Willis and Belsler split out to the near side of the field, and Eford gets the call, picks up 2. It's going to be 3rd down 4. Eford now 16 carries, 83 yards. Terrence Sorrell coming back in the lineup. Chuck McClure comes in. 3rd down 4. 12 minutes, 20 seconds to play. The pass caught at 50-yard line. Sorrell. And he's down to the 43. 1st down, Eagles.
Well, Terrence Sorrell's going to go back and say, Feed, why did you desert me? This is a good, well-designed play by McGrady. He sprints out quickly, throwing against the grain. And look at Sorrell when he makes the cut. Again, it could be a little slippery from the rain, but he had about 10 or 15 more yards in him before the support would have caught up. But as he makes that turn, he just slips and then goes down. But again, a well-designed play here by Georgia Southern, and a big break for them right now.
1st down 10 inside the 45-yard line. McGrady gives to Eford. Plus the 35, 30. 1st down, Eagles.
Mike, what Georgia Southern has Central Florida doing now is guessing on defense. What are you going to do next? You're going to run, you're going to pass. Now they're really guessing and really have to pull up the bootstraps and play some tough football right now.
Ball officially marked at the 31, but it is enough for the 1st. 11.5 minutes to go in the game. The clock continues to roll. Central Florida on top, 6-3. McGrady gives to Eford to the 26-yard line. Let's head to the sideline. Glenn?
This has to be, as Yogi Berra would say, deja vu all over again. UCF led Samford last week 6-0 after the 3rd quarter and lost. One other note, Eric Buckley of UCF appears to have a broken right thumb. They can't get him out of the lineup.
Eford now has carried the ball 18 times for 101 yards. Good day for Eford. He'll get the call again. This time he's met by that defensive front. Willie Britton leading the way. It'll be 3rd down and 4.
You know, Mike, Eford had been having trouble with the helmet. You see he's got it off. He was doing this behind the huddle, and he was still trying to get his chin strap, or at least his face mask, squared up. He even was adjusting it just a split second before the play was snapped. And I think he just had his total mind and concentration off of what he needed to do. And the quarterback, I'm sure McGrady noticed he was having trouble. That would not have been the call.
And he did take a timeout. McGrady requested it. The coaches seemed to be upset about it. They would have rather have had an official timeout. 10:21 to go in the game. 6-3. Paulson Stadium, Statesboro, Georgia. Central Florida still holding that 6-3 lead. And there you see Kevin Morris, the injured offensive lineman for the Eagles, his left knee. Injured in that 2nd period. He'll have exploratory arthroscopic knee surgery on Monday. And his team now facing a 3rd down and 5. McGrady has the 1st down at the 20.
Decisive play, knew exactly what he wanted to do, had it closed down too quickly. He had both pitchmen well in the open, but McGrady says, I got this one. Now watch as he comes out on the corner. This is where he has to make the decision. As the camera follows one runner through the center line, McGrady just cuts up the field, and another good 1st down for the Eagles of Georgia Southern.
First down, Eford, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. And there are no penalty markers.
take a look at it over the left side. Again, you see as they've sealed him to the right side, and Eford has nothing but a huge gaping hole and is literally able just to walk into the end zone. And I tell you what, Rex Nottage on the left side, along with Ayub, completely sealed it off, and there was nobody for Central Florida there.
David Cool looks to make it a 4-point game. David Cool is now 19 of 21 on point after touchdowns. There's timeout on the field. 9 minutes, 53 seconds to play. And for the first time this afternoon, Georgia Southern leads. It's 10-6. Done by Eford, and it's now 10-6. Mark Whitmore waiting back at the goal line as head coach McDowell looks on for Central Florida, trailing by 4. An extra point so important. Will take a touchdown to win. Whitmore hit right at the 20-yard line. Penalty marker late.
Whitmore to the 21.
We may get a late hit. Eagles are signifying that it might be against Central Florida.
Could have been one of the Knights this time, kind of coming into the pileup a little bit late. At least that was the early indication here.
Holding.
Holding. Interesting.
That'll move it back to the 10.
Holding on the receiving team. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Ball back to the 11-yard line. Central Florida's ball. First and 10.
89 yards. 9 minutes and 47 seconds to play. Darren Henshaw at quarterback. First down 10. 2 wideouts to the near side of the field. The handoff right up the middle. Foul. Maybe 2 yards. Let's check in with Glenn.
Guys, there's this blue lantern underneath the Georgia Southern bench here on the near sidelines. In talking to some of the players, it means that you have to keep the lantern lit. That's if they want to go for 3 national championships in a row. They have to keep the fire going. Back to you.
Even the rain couldn't put it out.
I tell you what, if G. McDowell finds out about that, he'll douse that sucker, that's for sure.
The pass incomplete. Intended for Rhodes. And it's going to be 3rd down 10 for Henshaw and his offensive unit.
The secondary for Georgia Southern is playing just a little tad closer than they were. Obviously, you don't want to let anybody get behind you, and that's where the free safety and a strong safety will come in. But everybody up is just a little bit closer to kind of cover up that little vacuum zone that we talked about in the first half that Central Florida was exploiting.
UCF 5 of 14 on 3rd down conversions. 3rd down 10. Over the middle. Picked off. Mutimer with his 2nd interception of the day.
Just a matter of making adjustments. Watch as everybody's up a little bit closer. The pass is overthrown. Dixon, unfortunately, cannot get much of a hand on it for Central Florida. Rather than getting it to knock down to the ground, he tips it up. And on a tip drill, which is what secondary people work on, it's wide open, and Jim Mutimer comes up with a huge intercept and possibly might have sealed it away for Georgia Southern, but there's still a lot of time left.
Mutimer has 5 interceptions on the season, including the 2 today. First down 10, 17-yard line. McGrady handing off to Eford, but a penalty marker goes down. Under 9 minutes to play now. 10-6, Georgia Southern with the lead. We'll wait for the official call, but there may have been some movement on that offensive unit.
Dead ball foul. False start on the offense. Still first down.
Georgia Southern penalized for over 100 yards now. 105 on 12 penalties.
You know, looking at Jim Mutimer on the sideline, he's called by Coach Tim Steyer as a guy that can run all day. And 2 interceptions today, and he ran well with them.
First down 15. McGrady pitching back. Hudson. He's out of bounds inside the 15.
It's amazing what a lead will do for your confidence. McGrady now out on the corners, out on the wings, waiting to see what Central Florida gives them, and makes the perfect pitch, and they get a good gain out of it for Georgia Southern.
Now remember, if Georgia Southern has to settle for a field goal, it would still be a 7-point game and still opportunity for Central Florida to win. Isaac Farrell, number 70, seems to be injured near the sideline for the Eagles. So the Eagles certainly want to get a TD out of this to try and seal it.
Mike, I don't know if it's just you or I, but every time we watch Georgia Southern, they have had just a passel of injuries. Northeast Louisiana, you may recall that night they had 3 or 4 players go down, and here today it's been a very devastating day for Georgia Southern. Looking right at the very top of the screen again, here's the pitch coming out, and watch him come up right in here. And I tell you what, he just crumpled as if he had been hit back at the line of scrimmage, and it finally just the effects wore on him as he ran up the field and he went down.
Well, as they work on him, we'll take a timeout. 8 minutes, 43 seconds left to play. Georgia Southern in the driver's seat. Farrell being tended to on the sideline after the injury. The freshman out of Warner Robins, Georgia, seemed to be shaken up, but he was able to walk off the field on his own.
That's a good-sized freshman, huh? 6'1", 270. Said he's done a great job in the weight room. Hope he's all right.
Georgia Southern faces 2nd down 8 inside the 15. McGrady gives to Eford, caught in the backfield, breaks a tackle up to the 10-yard line. And on that play, Eford, well, there's a penalty marker down. We'll have to wait and see who it's against. Holding against the Eagles. That may be costly.
Well, they have had these things hurting them all day long today.
13 penalties now for 119 yards.
Holding, offense, 10-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Certainly has been a workout for our head referee Bob McLaughlin and his crew. I always wonder how they keep their flags clean after it rains and they throw them on the field.
And those of us up in the booth say, who cares when they keep it clean?
Well, they always seem to be a bright yellow. They're never muddy. 2nd down 15. Under 8 minutes to play. Eford, 15, 10. He's right at that 1st down marker. Scott Ariel made the tackle, and Eford is really racking up the yardage. He's close to 130 yards for this game, which is his career best.
Well, somebody must be whispering in his ear, saying, you know the guy on the other side, number 34 in English, he's had a big day. Eford said, well, watch my smoke. It's been the kind of day that Eford's been hard to find on camera and hard to find on the defense. What a difference the 1st half and the 2nd half makes. Remember Greg Jefferson, number 95, making all the tackles early for Central Florida? Couldn't get Eford that time.
Steve Busaletti is in the lineup. McGrady keeps. He's hit hard right at the 8-yard line, so no room for him. Walter Gibson wrapped him up. Gibson's a little slow getting up. McGrady's not moving too quickly.
You know, an interesting call, and the fact you've got Busaletti, certainly Central Florida would anticipate you might take something up the middle in the way that Eford was running the football, and you needed, what, about a yard? And they tried to string it out and didn't get away with it.
It's going to be 3rd down and about 2.
I think the players going off under the help, as you see Walter Gibson going off, I think it pretty well amplifies what we talked about all day. This is a hard-hitting football game on both sides, and you can see the resulting injuries both for Georgia Southern and now for Central Florida. Good to see Gibson trotting off under his own steam across the way.
It's going to be 4th down and 2. David Kuhl is in the lineup for what will be a 25-yard field goal, which would make it a 7-point game. It's good. 25-yard field goal for David Kuhl, who is 9 of 11 on field goals in 1991. And he's extended his team's lead to 7 with 7:02 to play. But Central Florida has 3 timeouts left. Georgia Southern with a 7-point lead, and David Kuhl's 25-yard field goal made it that. Kuhl now has hit 7 in a row for the Eagles.
Mike, it was interesting. We wanted to know if it ended in a 13-13 tie at the end of regulation, would they play overtime? It is a non-conference game. It would end as a tie for these 2 clubs.
Kuhl against the wind this time. Whitmore, 8-yard line. 15. He's hit hard right there. Good effort by the specialty teams unit again. Whitmore averaging 24 yards a return, had a 52-yard return against East Carolina.
Nice ball, 1st and 10.
Brought it out to the 16 this time. 6 minutes, 56 seconds left. Georgia Southern taking a 7-point lead on that scoring drive. Central Florida could win with a touchdown and 2-point conversion. Curtis Gordon with the sack, or at least a tackle for loss.
Gordon had been listed as a player a little bit inconsistent in his play. Nothing inconsistent there. Nobody blocked him, and he just filled it right in and made a big stop for Georgia Southern.
I don't think Willie English has been hit that hard all day.
6'3", 270. Boy, they got some beef up front for Georgia Southern, and they can move.
3-yard loss, 2nd down, 13. Henshaw over the middle, incomplete. Bit overthrown again. The intended receiver, John Wuda, number 81, who was in the lineup for the first time this afternoon. Mark Giles playing good defense.
You know, if Giles had been a little more alert to the football rather than just to the man, he had a golden opportunity to pick that one off, and the free safety would have nothing but green up the left sideline. But he was playing the man and not the ball, and it just sailed right by his ear.
Coach McDowell's team is 5 of 16 on 3rd down conversions. He's facing 3rd and 13. Henshaw incomplete, almost picked off. Shane Maxwell had it, but it was knocked away by his teammate. The Knights will have to punt.
The 2 linebackers that time, Maxwell and Davis, watch as they crisscross on the defender right here. Maxwell had it, and coming underneath is Davis's teammate to knock it away.
Kevin Woodward standing in the end zone. Gets it away. Oglesby at midfield. Gets a block. 45, 40, 35. He can go all the way. 20, 10, touchdown. After a day of fair catches, Oglesby takes it 51 yards for the score.
What made it such a great run back is watch the patience of Oglesby. He waits for the blocks to be made and then does it on his own, slipping a last tackle and just tight ropes the sideline. But the patience on the kickoff return, these guys work on it all week long. They work up to fill lanes, and Oglesby said, yes, it's there, and he took advantage of it.
Cool, 19 of 21 on extra points. Good. Georgia Southern goes on top 20-6. Georgia Southern held to just 3 points in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and in this final period, turn it on.
The irony of this football game is one of the fears that Georgia Southern has was the great run-back ability of Dickinson for Central Florida. And now, boom, the Knights have had that same weapon turned on them as Oglesby scores on a big punt return. This is another good look at Oglesby. You see the last man that had a chance to stop him. And you can imagine about right here, despite that mouth guard, there's a big smile on Oglesby's face as he knows he has just broken the one he needed.
51 yards on the punt return. 5 minutes, 53 seconds now to play. Georgia Southern fans starting to get rowdy. They've got the rowdy rags out.
By the way, Mike, one final score in for you. Georgia Tech 35, North Carolina 14. That is a final now.
Cool. Short kick. Taken to the 20-yard line. Reverse. Maybe a 5-yard return for number 5, Robert Alexander, on the reverse. But not much more. The Eagles are ready for that. So Central Florida gets it back at the 25. 5:46 to play. 3 timeouts left for the Knights, but they do need 2 scores. 2 touchdowns. Look at all those national championship banners behind or below the U.S. flag. Do have a timeout. Central Florida will use one of its 3. Well, if Georgia Southern holds on, it'll be 5-3 record, and those playoff hopes will continue, while Central Florida, of course, will drop to 4-4, and you would think that the playoff goals would be out of the question.
You know, interesting, Mike, that, of course, Georgia Southern playing in the Southern Conference now, and Appalachian State, a ball club that quite obviously has an opportunity to wrap it up. They could actually clinch at least a tie for that championship today. But VMI would have to get a victory over the Citadel, and Chattanooga, Tennessee would have to upset Marshall. That would be for a tie. Now, those are ifs there. But Appalachian State can clinch an outright championship in the Southern Conference and a right to advance to the playoffs with an automatic bid. Next week, as they're off this week, they'll play with the game at Citadel, and a big ball game for Appalachian State, a ball club that has come out of nowhere. They go 6-2 and currently 5-0 in the Southern Conference. By the way, the target date for Georgia Southern in the conference, 1993, when they'll officially be eligible for the Southern Conference Championship.
Well, number 15 for the Knights, Ron Johnson, has now come in at the quarterback spot for Darren Henshaw. Johnson has seen a lot of playing time this season, but did not start today. He'll throw. Incomplete. Intended for number 5, who did a good job running that reverse, Robert Alexander, but only picked up 5 yards. This time he unable to come up with the pass. Henshaw left the game 6 of 21 for 86 yards, had 2 interceptions. So Johnson is in, trying to come up with the big play in the final 6 minutes.
That shows you the versatility and the athletic ability of the linebackers. That was Paul Sickley, who dropped into the coverage and made the stop just as the catch was made. Sickley, a guy they say is playing with great heart, probably at 5'10", 196, shouldn't be playing at this level of football, but he is.
Now, roughing the passer on the defense, and first down.
Roughing the passer against the Eagles. I missed that one. But it moves it to the 40, automatic first down.
Their penalty yards is almost going to equal what they did as far as their total offense today. They have had an abnormal amount of penalties against Georgia Southern today.
Actually tying a record for most penalties at Georgia Southern, 128 yards on 14 penalties. Johnson gives to English. Midfield, down to the 46. Shane Maxwell and Kevin Whitley finally bring English down. Georgia Southern can't relax too much, despite a 14-point lead with 5.5 minutes to go. In the past, Central Florida has been known for its great passing teams. Pressure. Johnson goes down. Ronald Johnson records his 4th sack of the year.
He just comes from the outside and just continues to work around the block. And again, as the quarterback, Johnson tries to step up in the pocket, he's no place to go on the good pursuit from the backside.
Second down, 15. Johnson looking to the corner. Incomplete, broken up by Oglesby. Good defensive effort that time, running side by side with Mark Whitmore. Oglesby breaks it up, almost picked it off.
I think you hit right on it, running stride for stride. Most difficult thing for a defensive back is to keep yourself under control and know where you've got to be when a pass receiver goes by you. Are you able to keep up with? Obviously, Oglesby was. And if he makes a sharp cut, are you able to adjust and keep your balance to go with him? He was and made the good play for Georgia Southern.
3rd down, 15. Johnson, complete. Ball comes loose, incomplete now. It's ruled an incomplete pass. Brett Cooper, I thought, came up with it, but Nick Davis on the hit jarred it loose, and it's ruled incomplete.
Well, again, the rule states that a player has to have clear possession of the football, and almost to the point of tucking it away. Let's watch as Johnson in the pocket. Has pretty good time here. He drills a strike. Cooper on the other end of it couldn't quite see it there. I'm not sure he ever really had possession as he was being spun around, and the ball came loose. Jim Munimer thought it was a fumble and jumped on it. Already with a couple interceptions today.
UCF will go on 4th down and 15. Johnson having to scramble. Incomplete. And Georgia Southern will take over at midfield. Johnson wasn't too happy with Michael Morris.
I think he's given away about 100 pounds in that exchange, isn't he? You know, Mike, this has been an impressive game for Georgia Southern. They have had to overcome penalties today to do what they've done. They've also come out in the second half and been more of a big opportunity team. They've made the intercepts. They've had the punt return. Their offense hasn't looked all that much better, but they've done what they needed to do in being an opportunistic team here in the second half.
McGrady hands off to Eford, picks up a couple of yards. You know, UCF, of course, has struggled with turnovers all season and really gave up a couple of crucial turnovers at crucial moments that may again be their major concern as they look toward next Saturday.
Well, they had 5 turnovers against Samford 2 weeks ago, 8 against East Carolina. So if there is a fly in the ointment for Central Florida that looks as if they'll go to 4-4 on the year, it would be turnovers this year.
McGrady's numbers, 2 interceptions today. Pitch goes back. Hopkins gets a block. 45. Goes down about the 44-yard line. Darren Willis making a nice block at the line of scrimmage. Corey Lundford in the lineup now, made the tackle.
Play was pretty well set up. Willis that time was out here on the corner and really was at a bad angle. If he'd have made a good crisp block, he would have clipped. But he had to kind of wait. It was almost like just a shadow block. And they read it very well and slipped right around it, did Hopkins, for a good game.
There's a smile and a frown on the other side.
G's brought his ball club in here. They played well, but they just run into a couple of big breaks here for Georgia Southern.
Willis goes out of bounds at the 38-yard line, and really UCF won the game for the first 3 quarters. Just this last quarter made the difference.
Now, before anybody misconstrues those comments and the fact that they got a lot of big breaks, it was not given to them. I mean, they made their own breaks with the interceptions and certainly with the punt return, but that's the kind of game this has been today. Which team was going to bend a little bit and which team was going to get a big, major, big play, and it happened to be Georgia Southern today. They, by the way, will be back here against Youngstown State next weekend, and then we're back here against Troy State on the 16th and Nicholls State on the 23rd.
Eford across the 35 to the 33. Clock continues to roll with 3:40. Let's go to the sideline.
Okay, you guys think you know why this game has turned around. No, I know why this game has turned around. It's the rally cap. It's the only explanation, isn't it?
That's exactly right. I thought about time to pull it out, so I pulled the shark out, and we scored the TD.
And none of this stuff helped it?
Oh, yeah, it all helped. Everybody over here on this side of the side.
Have you guys seen this anyplace before?
Never. The shark, I love it.
New running back in the lineup, number 36 for the Eagles. That's Tim Johnson. I'm sorry, James Williams, the fullback from Thomasville, Georgia. Eford finally got to take a rest.
Uh-oh, Mike, throw away that Sparta board. You're going to have to get the program now. Here they come. Clock
stopped now with 2:57 to play. Have to measure here. Georgia Southern really produced a great comeback. Harrisonburg, Virginia, trailing 21-0 in the first quarter last week. Came back to win that one 24-21, then trailed this game 6-3 for a good part of it. And has come back to lead 20-6 with 2:57 to go. And of course, Central Florida last Saturday off after losing to Samford 13-6 at the Citrus Bowl. So an up and down season for the Knights.
By the way, that Holy Cross Lehigh game we've been watching, 2 undefeated in Division I AA, still tied 7-7 in the third quarter today.
Orlando Ficklin, number 23, is in the lineup now. McGrady will throw, wide open, caught at the 6-yard line. Chuck McClurg was left open in the flat.
This was an oh yeah, we can throw off of this play. Again, McGrady was rolling to his left, which is a tough angle to throw from. McClurg had broken up the field, was wide open, and McGrady says, he's wide open and hit him. But he underthrew, and McClurg had to come back and make a good catch. But that's what the option does. It's always there as long as your linemen hold their block at the line of scrimmage.
We're told Lester Eford will not be back in the contest. He finishes with 142 yards on 24 carries, his career best at Georgia Southern, now in his senior season. Pounding up inside.
Williams going to be a pretty good replacement. A kid that's got a lot of speed. They do like the way he watch as he runs. He takes his legs and picks them up very high, which is very tough to kind of get an angle on it.
2 minutes to play. Georgia Southern using up the clock. May come up with a score here, and folks read the paper tomorrow. They'll think it was a blowout, really, should they score, but it was close for a good part of this game. McGrady, 5, hit hard right at the 3-yard line. Rick Hamilton hit him.
Rick McGrady, stopped by 42, Rick Hamilton.
That shows you what Central Florida is still able to do even this late in the ball game, and down and out at 20-6. They're supporting. They closed that hole that looked like it was wide open. Look as McGrady turns the corner. There's the hole that he sees. He says, pay dirt. But watch how quickly it closes up. There's the support from the inside, and then it gets some more support from the outside. Very nicely done. Rick Hamilton, number 42, was the one that finally stopped that. But again, the Knights still playing hard here despite the score late in the game.
Central Florida taking a timeout with 1:13 to play in the contest. And Georgia Southern on top 20-6 will face a 3rd down and goal at the 3. I want to thank all the folks who've been involved in the game. Skip Hill producing and directing in the truck. It's been a busy day for him and his technical staff with the rain and then the sunshine, then the rain and the sunshine again. This really has become a great place for college football. Glenn Bryant Field, Paulson Stadium.
Overlooked by Morrison and Lupton Building, who had a nice gathering before the game was all over. Just a wonderful facility here. And again, this is the last year of the contract for the Division I AA championship game here in Statesboro, Georgia, and they have turned out in huge numbers, even when Georgia Southern was not in the championship game, which they had been the last 2 years. It'll be very interesting to see what the selection committee does after all is said and done following the December the 21st championship game this year.
1:13 to go. Derek McGrady, 3-yard line. McGrady trying to sneak right up the middle, may have picked up a couple. It's going to be 4th. And what will the Eagles do?
Well, Cool has not come in yet. Tim Stowers letting all the Armstead quarterbacks here on the sideline help him out with his call, I guess.
Interesting comparison. In the first half, Georgia Southern did not complete a pass. In the second half, UCF has yet to complete a pass. 4th down.
What a turn of events that was.
Right up the middle. No room, and Central Florida turns Georgia Southern away, but the clock is the factor. 33 seconds to play, and the Eagles lead it 20-6.
Now you can look at this call made by Georgia Southern in 2 ways. First of all, if you're Central Florida, were they trying to add a little injured insults going for 6? On the other side of the coin, they could have gone ahead and added 3 anyway with an automatic by David Cool. So there's kind of okay, we've already got you down 20-6. We're going to use up some more of the clock. That's the way the football game is going to end. Neither ball club trying to throw any salt in anybody's wounds. This has been a good series, and I, for one, am going to hate to see it go, as these two ball clubs have had some good spirited games, including today here in Statesboro.
Central Florida will try not to get a safety here. Johnson, incomplete. Stops the clock with 27 seconds to play.
Mike, you got to look ahead at the schedule of Georgia Southern. Again, Youngstown State, you and I'll be back up here in Statesboro's next week for that one on the Georgia Southern Network. Troy State on the 16th and Nicholls State on the 23rd. So 3 games that I think are very winnable for this club with a chance for the playoffs still.
Johnson, complete to the 3-yard line, but Oglesby there. Mike Dixon making the catch. He was hit pretty hard. Clock stops with 20 seconds left.
Dickinson playing with a hip pointer. He may have a back spasm now after that shot by Oglesby. Wow.
20 seconds now as you look at Rodney Oglesby, the Garfield, Georgia senior. Had an interception against Central Florida last year. Picked off 2 passes in this one. Or actually, Jim Mutimer actually had the 2 interceptions today, but Oglesby has had that 51-yard punt return for a score.
What a backbreaker that was for Central Florida. They just
We have illegal participation on the defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
15 yards. Too many players?
Illegal. I would assume that would be the 12th player on the field, yes. But 15 yards, I didn't know it carried that load.
I didn't either. Pressure on Johnson. He's sacked. Michael Morris made the sack on what will be the final play of the game. Central Florida will try to do something, but unable to. So Central Florida falls to 4-4. Georgia Southern goes 5-3, and the hope of returning to defend its national championship. For all involved, our entire crew, including Sam Smith, this is Mike Tilley. Thank you for joining us in Statesboro, Georgia. The Georgia Southern Eagles win it 20-6. Good afternoon.